Three, two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. I am your host, David Streggy, and here in the room with me, I have a director and actor, Mathew Mark Hunter, with me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. How are you doing?
I'm doing rather well. And I'm glad that we are able to, or that you've been able to return and come on. It's been a couple of years. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Oh, who is your friend?
This is our company mascot, Bozo, for MMH Productions.
Ah.
He's in almost every film. Is like a little Easter egg. You gotta try to find him.
So, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and a little bit of how you got involved in the independent film industry, and maybe a little bit about what kinds of films inspired you to get to that point.
My name is Mathew Mark Hunter Jr. I go by Mathew Mark Hunter. I am a filmmaker, creator, and owner of MMH Productions in Cleveland, Ohio, preferably Garfield Heights, Ohio. I really made my first film when I was in middle school, 7th grade. Our teacher wanted us to write a script, and we got bonus points if we actually directed a film and made it into a real project. I did a Puppet Master fan film. Everyone thought I actually made the puppets myself because no one knew what Full Moon was or Charles Band or anything like that, which was fun. But then I really got more involved junior year in high school. That's when I started my company. We made our first feature film when I was 17. That became an award-winning film. Some of the films that did inspire me, because all we do is like horrors. We've reached more into horror films with some slight comedy parts in it as well, or we go full-out horror. But I know the Willies really inspired me to do the filmmaking. We based some of the ideas from the Willies from my first feature film, and actually my recent film we brought a part in that was part of it also. Puppet Master and dolls, because a lot of my films we use toys, dolls, and puppets, and a couple of the other films, most of them have kid actors as well, which we work well with.
Okay. And let's go back and talk about maybe some of the first films that you got involved with here. So in 2013, you acted in a film called Puppets of Darkness. How was that for you?
That was fun because that was the first one I made for the middle school for the Puppet Master fan film. Of course, every first film was rough, but this is even rougher than my actual real first film. Because all my actors were family, cousins. My one cousin played 3 different parts. It was just It was just a way for me to just do something and have fun and make my own type of Puppet Master film. Just with because even in middle school and elementary school, I would always talk about horror films, and it got me in trouble because elementary school I'd bring up Freddy vs. Jason and how everyone died in the kills. And of course, as a kid in elementary school, it's not going to be great for the teachers to find out what you're talking about to other students.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just how I was raised and taught about all the films growing up. So it was a good way to start me actually getting a spark to make films. Because after that, I just started writing them on a typewriter until I was old enough to make them for real.
Okay. And after that, you did a short film called Apples. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that project?
Apples was my first short film, real film for MMH Productions. And that was done junior year. I tried to get some other students because I was at a community college type school during high school. So I would go to high school and then Cuyahoga Valley Career Center for 2 years and learn like simple stuff about film. Well, I actually learned more at that school than I have in college so far.
Okay.
But I brought out the 5-page script. I got some of the students to do camera work. I had old friends going to regular high school with act in it.
Okay.
Yeah, some people were like, "Oh, this film's going to be shitty. It's only your first film, 5 minutes. I'm not going to work on this project." I make the film, it goes to a festival. The next film I start writing is the feature film. And then everyone's like, "Can I be on your set, help out and stuff from the school?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want you. Sorry."
And I think that's just how it goes as you move along with going from project to project. There's always going to be people who want to work with you as you work your way forwards with different ideas and stuff like that, and it's just part of the learning curve,
Yeah, I mean, everyone starts, like every filmmaker starts from a beginning. Everyone's first film's not going to be good. I mean, even in just like student filmmakers, indie filmmakers, you got to start somewhere to get somewhere. So it's just a way to just do something.
And with every project comes different people that you work with, but oftentimes it's often the same group of people that you end up acting with and directing behind and stuff like that. So, was there anyone you had worked on with Apples that you had worked on previously from Puppets of Darkness?
Puppets of Darkness. We had my cousins on set, and two of my cousins actually came back in feature films as well to be part of.
Okay.
So I brought them back. Apples. The camera operators I haven't talked to since we graduated. One of the actresses, well, one of the main actor, Grant Guyton, he's been in stuff more recently. He was, if I needed someone for my project, he'll come out, or he does musicals and theater, so I'll go out to some of his shows and watch him perform.
Okay.
But then really, I had like a nice group of, at the time, friends, and we were in like projects from 2017, 2018, 2019. A big issue happened like at the end of 2019 to 2020. They all went away, and I got a brand new set of people who are actually a lot better. It's more family friendly, like family setting on set, no drama, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot more fun to do films with these type of people. My new crew.
Okay. And then around the same time that you did Apples, you got involved with another project called Silver Bullets, correct?
Yes.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about that project?
Silver Bullets was one of the short films of 3 that was in my first feature film, Dark Side Stories, an anthology horror. We had Silver Bullets, Balloons, and Late Fee.
Okay.
Silver Bullets was a vampire story. I mean, not werewolf story. That's how long it's been. A werewolf story. More like type, I guess you could say maybe like a love type horror, really, but it was like probably the worst one of the 3. Balloons is my favorite out of 3. A girl with her mother who always leaves the 2 kids. An abusive boyfriend comes in the mix. Evil balloons kill people. My favorite. And then I really have a heart for Late Fee, which is the 3rd anthology short, because before they closed them all down, we were able to shoot and get release, like location release forms to film in a family video.
Okay.
So shooting in family video and then looking back on it to actually have memories of it
Okay.
before we got rid of them in our area, which is real sweet to do. But that was the first feature film I did that made me a award-winning filmmaker.
Okay. And how did you? What award did you get for that particular film?
We got into the Spotlight Horror Movie Awards. We got the Bronze Award for High Artistic Ability for that, which was the only award Darkside got. And then the trailer played at a drive-in theater. And after that, all the other festivals. Wasn't up their alley, probably because we used a lot of things that I guess you could say cancel culture nowadays would be against about more lines of dialogue. But it was just you're high school students. That's what the script is. A lot of bad stuff, swearing. I mean, it's just what kids used to do. I mean, that's
Totally understand. So after Balloons, you got involved with a project called Dearest Dolly. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that project?
Dearest Dolly was our first guerrilla film for my guerrilla filmmaker group. They all left with the group in 2019, but it was the first one. We had auditions for Nightmares Unleashed. The people who stayed after the auditions, we actually went to the basement and just made up random stuff to shoot for it.
Okay.
So it's just a bunch of random scenes with us, like looking at dolls, doing weird stuff, and then they go in and chase me into the closet, and it's just just like a fun random type horror film we just did in the basement for like a few hours, and that was started all our more crappy style guerrilla style films I did
Okay.
most of the time. Every summer we go and shoot one every other week, which is what we did for about 2 years.
Okay. Now, where have you filmed most of these short films? In or around Ohio, where you're located?
Majority have been around my area.
Okay.
We use like most of the films. Sometimes we'll have like well, recently we get like Airbnbs. We'll buy out for a weekend and shoot there sometimes, or like late fee was at the video store. But majority is around our area. We used to have like a studio house, and we'd basement was like storage and costumes and props. We'd film down there with the whole house. Things happen with that, so we don't have that ability anymore.
Okay.
So it's recently been other my family members' houses I've been shooting at, and when I ask other actors and actresses for my films, hey, do you guys know location? Some of them said, well, we'll offer you our place to shoot at and things like that, just so
Okay.
it's no location fee budget also.
Totally understand. So after Dearest Dolly, you got involved with a short film called The Dark One, correct?
Yes.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about that project?
The Dark One is one of a couple films I used to do where I would just shoot it by myself. So I was the director, I did the camera work, and I was the only actor on set. So I was just by myself for a couple films. I played more than one part. It's me in a mirror trying to get something, and I call upon the Dark One, and I slit my wrist in the scene. And I did it so well that when it came out, a lot of people were like, "Did you actually cut your wrist for this?" I'm like, "No, I didn't." But the way I was shooting it, I put the blood on the actual knife, and then I would go to the skin and do it, so it was already like coming from it. Um, but that was just another one where I did where I was home alone. I was like, let me just make a random film. So I got some props, some stuff, shot it, edited it, put it on YouTube, and I did it for a couple other films. And I do that recently too. Still, every now and then I'll make a film by myself and get it
Okay.
out there. Have people do voiceovers.
Okay. Moving on to a project that you call Return of Pumpkin Man. How did you get involved with that project?
Pumpkin Man was a character I used to play at the Cuyahoga Valley Career Center. They had a pumpkin mask in the shop with and I wear like a flannel with it, and I was Pumpkin Man for a couple films there. It was like
Okay.
my thing. And then I bought my own pumpkin masks, different ones during school and also after I graduated. And it was like a thing we used to do. So Return of Pumpkinhead, it's like 3 shots only of some guy playing the ukulele, and the pumpkin guy comes up and grabs him. But then the Pumpkin Man comes back, and we turn him into an actual monster of mine, big monster.
Okay.
And the Dark One, we did a newer version. The pumpkin guy's been in the white masks, Tails Chill the Bone. He's just been a recurring character in a lot of my things as well.
Okay. And then after that, you were involved in a short film project called The Possession of Marcella. How did you get involved with that short film?
That was one where the guerrilla filmmaker group started getting more people, like more people together, and we shot
Okay.
that at my friend's house. That was another one where I had no script, like most of my films at the time, and we just came up with stuff as we went along. 5 friends, they go visit a spooky house that someone died in. There's a Ouija board they check out, which possesses one of the friends. We were able to shoot that one and 3 other short films the same day, back to back. It was that one, Forbidden Forest, Forbidden Woods, something. The Return of Pumpkin Man, and then the 4th one we did actually never got finished because we weren't in the right property because it was guerrilla style filming, and the
Okay.
neighbor came out and was about to call the cops on us. She was holding onto like the equipment and props and camera. Luckily, I was able to talk to her. Said, "Here's my business card. I mean, it's what we do. We didn't know our property. Luckily, we got everything back." But that was the end of that night. We all went home after that. We didn't stay.
And that happens whenever you shoot gorilla every so often. I've heard so many stories about how cops will like pull up and be like, "What are you doing over there?" You know.
Yeah, there was one time I was on top of in Cleveland, one of the like tall buildings. We actually went up the ramp for the cars, and we were shooting up top of the actual building. And the cop pulls up and is like, "What you guys doing?" And I showed my CSU card, and I was like, "Hey, I'm a filmmaker. We're just shooting some." And they left. But even like recently, I've shot on locations without permission. I shot at Mark's for a scene where I'm wearing a crab hand and elf feet walking around. I shot at Pet Supplies Plus before without their permission. A couple other places where I'm just sometimes they're like, "Here, mom, hold my camera and let me do stuff," which is most of the time I'm like, "Mom, hold the camera and I'll do what I have to do, and we'll work from there."
Okay. And then I know you touched a little bit on Forbidden Woods, but what was that a short film about?
That was a film where I'm walking like kind of like Blair Witch style idea, where I'm holding the camera the whole time, and I'm talking to the camera about trying to find the people in the woods, and I find one of the cult guys looking at me, and then I'm running in the woods, and they're chasing me, and then the end scene, they get me and they chop me, and you see them pick up the camera, like talking to it also. That was one of the first times I actually do this. I get hurt a lot on my sets. I worry about other people's safeties instead of mine because I don't care about me, so I've been hurt a lot. But that was the first time I fell with the camera, and I was like, I cut my leg on something too from the woods because I wasn't looking at the ground just so it looked better. But I've been hurt a lot on my own films, but no one else has been hurt, thankfully.
So after Forbidden Woods, you were involved with a project called Benny. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Benny was a short film I did, and a lot of people weren't really excited based on the idea of it, but it's awesome. Basically, it's my dog in the film, and at the end, you see me kill my dog, and I cook him for burger meat, and I feed it to myself, and then like my whole family's part of it. Like we see my mom come in with a new dog, so it's like dog after dog, we're killing them and eating them. People really thought it was like animal cruelty when I first made it and it came out. They're like, "Oh, why would you do this?" I was like, "My dog's still alive. It's right here. It's a film." That dog, Benny, is his real name. He's actually being killed. He's been shot in the head in another film, which people didn't like that scene. I kept him in a cage for other scenes. He's been in a few films from time to time. Sometimes he'll die, sometimes he won't, but it's just part of the filmmaking process.
I would have to say that too. I mean, people, if you don't like it, it's not your thing, you know. So just move on. Don't watch it.
Yeah.
But in any case, after Benny, you got into a short film called Trampoline Terror. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Trampoline Terror was another one where we just got together one day, hanging out, having fun, and then randomly I'm like, "Hey guys, here's my camcorder. Let's just make a random film." So it's another one shot only, and what you see is what we actually shot only, and we went back to having fun. It's just me on the trampoline. My friend's walking over to me, starts choking me on the trampoline, and I die. And then you also hear in the background right before it cuts, they're laughing in the background, and I just kept that in the film also, just to have for a little funny part.
Okay. And after that project, you got involved with one called Host's Tub Party, correct?
Yeah, Hot's Tub Party.
Hots.
Yeah. It was the same day as Trampoline Terror, I believe, but this was like in the morning more, I think. But great location, my friend. A great giant pool. They had a hot tub in the backyard, so I was like, "Oh, I got to do something here." But they're all. It's just again no script. All dialogues made up as we go along. They're just in the pool having fun. You see a snake go down the slide, rubber snake, and then they're all in the hot tub, and you see a snake come out the hot tub and attack someone. We were supposed to shoot more that night with more snakes killing people, but they all were like, "Nah, let's do something else. Just ignore it." So I just made it how it was, and then I brought back another snake idea called Shed Snakes about this last month. I did it.
Okay.
I was looking in my shed, hearing noises, and then a snake comes out and attacked me. And then you see like blood going all over the place. And I have the last shot, the snake's in the tree with my fake hand, and it's just dripping blood. So it's just another random fun film.
Okay. And then after Hot Tub Party, you got involved with a project called That Horror. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
That horror was probably another night we were just having fun. We were like, I had the camera with me. I always brought the camera with me no matter where we went. So it's a part where my girlfriend in the film, I guess, is cheating on me, and I catch her. So it starts with her tied up and her new man tied up, and I'm basically talking all this trash to him. I start slicing the guy's face, and then she tries saying like she's pregnant, and I'm like, whose kid is it? And I just don't care about it, and I'm just attacking her next with it, and then it just fades out to that. It's just a lot more random not fun, but just random films we would just make. And it was probably when I was more consistent on YouTube pumping out films. But because now I have budgets and I have better stories and ideas and higher ideas I want to do, I don't pump out as much anymore because I'm more focused on a bit more
quality and not quantity.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So after That Horror, you went on to a project called A Nightmare on Orm Road, correct?
Yes.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about that project?
That project was when we started getting a new location. We used in a lot of films, my friend's basement. We were supposed to make it a more short style film, but only a trailer ever came out from it.
Okay.
And it was shots around the house. We saw cats. We had Nightmare on Elm Street playing in the background. I had shots of the Freddy Claw in the scenes, which was going to be our guerrilla style horror version of our Freddy Krueger, which doesn't look like him. It didn't sound like him. Nothing. It was just using the claws and the factor.
Okay. And after that short film, you got involved in a film called The Doll Teaser.
Yeah. It's another one of our films we were trying to make into a film, but it came out just to be a little short teaser trailer for it that never got made. But that was also the first time I really went full out on doing doll movement. Okay. And that actually stuck with me to this day. And actually my most recent film I did with doll movement, we had about 10 dolls moving at once I had to work on. I work my mascot a lot in the film, so he's actually moving differently without me being seen in the camera. A lot of my films have doll and toy and puppet movement, attacking people or killing people. That's just one of my types of genres and themes I do for the company.
Okay. And I know that you don't promote dark side stories as much as you do anymore. But you told me something before we even got on that I didn't know about dark side stories. Why is it that you don't want to promote it anymore?
We had someone we found out on set recently this year, and they did stuff bad, really bad stuff. And now that I do different style filmmaking besides horror, I also do family friendly kids show style things. Okay. It was just a way for me to talk about it, tell them why we aren't selling it anymore. I removed him also from IMDb. We're gonna actually re-edit the scenes he's in with someone else playing the part, try to get the film back out eventually. Okay. But right now, whoever has a copy of it is probably the only copy that they'll have of that version. And I actually have 2 or 3 still here, just because I'm not going to sell them no more. So they're just hiding in the back for now. But it was my first feature film. I wrote the script when I was younger, like an old version on the typewriter, and I brought it back out junior year. It's a shame that it had what happened with the person. I wish it didn't happen because it was the film that made me an award-winning filmmaker, which is the only part that really sucks. But things happen, of course, so that's why we're hoping to reshoot 2 little parts he's in with someone else and put in voiceover, and then re-edit it with that so we can actually get the film back out there.
Well, at least you have hope to make it better than it was, and learning the things that you learned along the way. I think it'll be a film that has kind of grown over time, you know. So, but moving on to Pizza Man. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that project?
My friend worked at, I think, Marco's Pizza, I think it was, or Pizza Hut, one of the pizza places, and he actually had the mascot costume in the trunk of his car. He always kept, like, the whole pizza. I think it had to be I think it was Marco's, but the whole pizza suit of the mascot character.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, hey, let's make that just a killer. So we had him put on the outfit, and even the shot, you see the back of it that says the company's logo, this pizza giant suit killing people.
Mm-hmm.
I know the restriction was we can't get it ruined or bloody, but it was just a fun way to show, like, hey, this guy's creeping in their house, and you see them about to die, and then we hear sound effects, and then it cuts to black. But it was sweet just to have it because it's in just the front of the mascot, like the front of the costume, we actually have put on other things in the future just to show it as like a creature of ours. Like on the poster, we have just the Pizza Man front of the monster just standing there and some stuff still. Just because it's such a random thing to have.
Okay, very cool. And after that project, you got involved with another project called Axeman. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Axeman was, I had my friends hold a camera. I think it was 2 or 3 shot takes. They're just walking in the woods and they hear a noise, and then they see an Axeman. He's cutting at trees with the pumpkin mask on, and then you see him running towards them. And it's another one where more nowadays we have more. I'm able to do like blood squirting, practical effects with the blood, torn off arms shooting out, tubes in the neck blowing out. Back then I didn't really have any. I didn't know the knowledge I do now, or the effects of fake blood. So it was just another one with like sound effects, and you saw some stuff. Like I know Puppets of Darkness actually used ketchup as blood to start off with, and then we got like cheap vampire type blood you can buy. But like now we use like all the good type of blood, expensive and like edible kinds and eye-proof blood and everything.
Yes, filmmaking has definitely changed over time. After that, you got into a project called Five Nights of Terror. Why don't you tell us about that project?
Well, Five Nights of Terror was, I would allow the people in our group that they had a project idea, they could film it themselves. I'd say, all right, we'll film your idea under the MMH Productions. We'll shoot it. You can direct parts of it. I'll let you, open end on stuff. And he wanted to do a Five Nights of Freddy's type of thing, but it was like super, super low budget and really bad. Like I think the Chica guy, we had tinfoil for the nose or something. And it was just a way for me to say, hey, if you guys want to make your own type of horror films, we can make them through here. I don't care what they are. We'll just make them, get them out there. And then you'll have something on your IMDb that says director credit, writer credit, whatever you want. I'm still open to this day on letting people do their own type of things. And we'll get other people if they want to make a film. I'll be like, you can make it with us. We'll let you use the equipment. We'll help you get all of this thing. I'll work on set with you guys. So it's just also started me a way to just get people like, hey, do you want to make a movie? Let's do it. And I'll let you do whatever you want on the set.
Okay. After Five Nights of Terror, you got involved with a project called The Corn Stalker. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
The Corn Stalker is another one of our projects that was more turned into trailer than actually happened as a film.
Okay.
And it's really a one single shot of a pan of one side of the cornfield going to an opposite side of the cornfield. And it was actually good because the location we shot that at, we actually have that location booked for a feature film we're shooting in 2023. We've been planning it for about 2 years so far. And it's a remake of one of my short films as a feature now. So getting that one single shot pan we posted, it influenced me to write a script, and we actually have the location locked already for the cornfield for a future project, which was good to have.
Nice. So you also did a Saw teaser fan film somewhere around there too, which is another teaser project, correct?
Yeah, it's another one. We just had a few shots of in the basement, and then the last shot you see like the pig mask in the scene. Another one that we didn't get a chance to do because we had so many other projects we were doing left and right every other week.
So after that, you got involved in a project called Rats. How was that one?
That's one of my few films I did by myself back in the when I started. That I really is one of my top films I really like, and I wish had more views on YouTube as well. But it's me after I had to take my pills, and then I start hearing and seeing all these fake rats around the house. I go and investigate, and there's like giant rats looking at me, talking to me. I take one outside, and like I'm in the shower, and the rat that died, it was like a couple years later, and he's like a skeleton rat, and he's climbing and everything, trying to get me.
Mm-hmm.
And you see like the skeleton rats eating me in the bathtub as well. So it was one of the films I really wish had like more notice because I really enjoy the film. It's just rats attacking and killing me, mutant rats.
So after Rats, you got involved in a project called Deer Hunter. How was that one? And how did you get involved with it?
Deer Hunter was one of the girl films, but that was the start of doing more the Christmas holiday. So we have a couple actually after Deer Hunter. They're all Christmas themed, like guerrilla style films.
Okay.
Because it's one of the other subgenres I love doing for horror, which is Christmas horror.
Okay.
Since we, but it's one of our friends is wearing a deer mask, and you see kill us in the basement, secretly getting in. And like one part, you see putting bleach in our drink, and because the color changed in the bleach, it looked better when I drank it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't fully drink it. I may touch my lip and stuff for the same shot type of feel. That was it for that. And then you see her come with the sledgehammer for the other kid. But then that also, when we started the Christmas films, we did a Krampus one. And since then, every year I make another Krampus short film. So this year we're going to be on Krampus 5, actually.
Nice. A tradition. A tradition started. So after Deer Hunter, you got involved in a short film called The Scientist, a short film called Holy Night, and Killer Christmas. Why don't you tell me about those 3 film projects?
The Scientist was one I did with my cousin. I believe it was after Thanksgiving dinner. We shot that, and then we shot another thing that we had on a XXX channel, which was just 2 pieces of actual bread. And we poured hot butter on them, and we made sound effects with them actually like doing it, like little rolls.
Mm-hmm.
But then before that, we went to the basement and we shot it 2 different times. We shot the first time where he was the scientist and I was in the chair, and then the second time I was the scientist and he was in the chair. And the one that got posted was the one that was him as the scientist, because he's also how old was he? He was probably maybe like 8 or 9, maybe 10 at the time as the scientist killer. So it was funnier to have it that way. So we left it at that. Holy Night was one where another one I'm proud of. It's only has a Christmas song in the background and then shots of footage. And I play 4 parts in that one, and you can't tell it's me all 4 parts, thankfully. And they're summoning a Santa type figure, a Santa demon, and they bring him from hell with the presents, and they all die at the end, of course, from the demon, and he takes the presents with him. And then Killer Christmas is, at the time when we did all the guerrilla films, was the one that was the biggest at the time. Excuse me. It was I used a lot more tricks in that one. I had reverse footage, so I had like lights going to the door and unlocking it, which was all reverse footage. Lights going up someone's leg, wrapping around them, all reverse footage. We finally did. I was able to kill them in different Christmas ways and fashion.
Okay.
And then actually, that's a film that we made a sequel to last year. Finally, I tried getting at the time. I wrote a script where all the cast came back from the first one in some type of way, like a demon or dead. Of course, that was during the fallout, so none of them came back. And I changed the script where it was someone new investigating the house, and you saw flashbacks of what happened in the first one. And it was and that wasn't actually in the sequel to that. It's a lot more graphic, gory, more holiday fun killing, more crazy stuff happens for it because we got more advanced in filming in general for me. But Killer Christmas was one of the main starts for getting me fully into doing the Christmas spirit holiday horror films.
Okay.
Because I enjoy like watching that one also a lot, just for some of the scenes and technicians I did.
Okay. And after Killer Christmas is the Krampus one that you talked about. Krampus, the Shadow of Saint Nick. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that project?
Krampus, the Shadow of Saint Nick is our first Krampus film and also the worst rendition of Krampus.
Mm.
I have tinfoil horns, a tinfoil tail. The makeup was either dark, it was like gray or brown makeup just all over my face, and a Santa suit. And it's a simple Krampus story. I find the kid upstairs. He's been naughty. I put him in my sack. I visit the sister, the older sister, and she's like, she's mad I took the kid, and she tries fighting me, so I attack her too. And then after that one, each Krampus, for the 4 Krampus films, each Krampus actually looks different than, so none of them are the same Krampus. Krampus 2 is more, we had makeup artist Tiffany Manning do that one, and that's more Santa Claus Krampus as well. Then the third one, we had Ron George, which is a demon style Krampus, all red face latex. I could barely see out of it, and I still had to do the camera work, which was a pain in the ass at the time to do camera while barely being able to see out of latex, like whole face latex. So it also had the smell to it. I lost some hair after I pulled it out. And then we got smarter for Krampus 4, same makeup artist, but we had the makeup done on like a white mask attached to it. So I could just slip the mask as Krampus and then do it like that way. But the Krampus films have always been a dear passion to me as well.
Okay. So that ends the films that you did in 2017. Going into 2018, you started to work with a few projects called Voodoo. Don't Go in the Closet, and Sad Crying Clown. Why don't you tell me a little bit about those projects?
Voodoo was actually an idea started randomly came to my head after I had a bloody nose. So I recorded my whole bloody nose happening, dripping on my hand. The blood is all over the bathroom sink. It's just dripping from my nose. I get nosebleeds a lot, so it's a good way for me to do it. And then I was like, how do I incorporate this nosebleed for a film I could do? I had more puppets and dolls, so I was like, I'll shoot stuff out of order. So I shot a scene like me building the dolls, and then I like cut myself, accidentally prick myself with it, and then you see like the fake blood get on the dolls, which is what brings them to life. My blood. And then we get to the scene of me and the nosebleed, and while it's happening, the dolls start coming to life. And when I go upstairs, I'm like freaking out. They came to life, and they eventually kill me, and I turn into a doll at the end. And then, what was the second one?
Don't Go in the Closet.
Don't Go in the Closet. That was one I did at Cuyahoga Valley Career Center for a project competition thing. I'm going in the closet, and there's this very old doll I want to try to sell to get money for. And I tried reaching up on the top shelf to get it, but then the shelf falls on me, and one of the items spears me in the eye. And then I wake up in a hospital bed, and thankfully, because we had CVCC at the time, it was the community college, and we were able to film in like the doctor area. So it was actually a doctor building and doctor bed I was actually in for cool set design for it. And we shot that last part in there. And what was the last one?
Sad Crying Clown.
Sad Crying Clown was a thing I did for an author, Luke Wood, C.L. Williams. He has a poetry book he sent to me, and that was one of the poems I found inside of it. So I turned his poem into a short film, short with the poem in the background as well. And I gave that to him, and we've stayed in contact ever since. And I actually shot some other stuff for him from his books in my feature films for anthology. I took his stories. But Sad Crying Clown was one where I just grabbed my family. I dressed them up as a clown and 2 younger cousins, and I just had him do a lot of sad stuff happening to him. I put in the voiceover of the poem from an actress I had, and then we just promoted that out there for that.
Okay. After those projects, you got involved with some others called Trippin', The Pub, and Stop Texting and Driving Ad.
The Pub was another one I did solo. I'm in a bar setting in the basement, and the bartender's serving me these drinks, I'm really wasted on the scene, not really. And then you see him take off his glove while doing the bartending. He has a monster hand on, and then you see him drip green blood from his finger, which he gives me one more shot, which eventually is what kills me. And you see him turn around. It's just like a mannequin type of bartender for the creep factor.
Okay.
The stop texting and driving ad was where it was another thing I had to do for the school at the time. We had to
Okay.
do like 3 projects that were like mandatory to do, which I really didn't care for to do. It was just a way. We had to enter a film contest. So I found this one about don't text and driving. So I had my mom on the phone, like texting and driving without noticing it. And then you see me come in front of the car, and she hits me with her car, and you hear a bump, and I'm actually under the car with blood dripping down from the headphones. And then the ad comes up saying stop texting and driving for it, which is a fun one. And what was the other one?
Tripping.
Tripping was one we did with my friends at the time, and we took these weird pills, and it was all made up as we went. So we just did a bunch of random crap happening in the scene, and then I overlaid it with trippy style editing, random colors, flashing lights type of stuff, and it was just weird music in the background, and it's all dying different weird ways. We had a giant stuffed worm strangle someone, like a stuffed animal worm. And then you see me, and there's one part actually I trip and I fall on a table, like I just fall face forward. I wanted to do it for real. I actually did it. I broke the table, but it wasn't in the shot. It didn't get in the shot, sadly. You just see me falling. But it was just another one where it's just at the time we had no script. We were just all hanging out. Said let's make a film, and then we just started making art.
Okay. After Stop Texting and Driving ad, you got into some projects called Easter Bunny, All Nighter, and The Box. Why don't you tell us a little bit about those projects?
All Nighter was actually an all-nighter film project type of thing where it was at like 3 a.m, and we're like, let's just shoot a film. And we got done at 6 a.m. We didn't sleep that night, and we actually had a theater show the next morning. We had to leave 2 hours later. We got done shooting. We were like, oh, we have to go and get ready because we had a show that morning, Sunday matinee we had to perform for, which wasn't the smartest idea. But it's like even in the one shot you'll hear when we're shooting outside, the birds chirping when it's dark out because how late it was. But the guy breaks into the house and he's killing everyone inside the house. It was another idea where they came up with some parts of it, and I shot it with them. I said, we can shoot it. That's fine. The box, I was at my aunt's house, and they have this wooden box in the corner. And then you see me actually hearing the box make noise, and I go to investigate, and the box starts eating me alive. So it's chomping on me, the lid's beating on me, and I'm getting sucked into the box, which is always fun, of course.
Okay. Easter Bunny.
Easter Bunny was my also like highest rated film on YouTube, like 100,000 plus views, just because of it was before YouTube did their terms and conditions where you had to be 18 and older or select it kid friendly or not. And I still haven't changed it to not kid friendly still. So a lot of the comments are more younger audiences watching it still. And it's the one shot that I put on everything that's like near the start of the demo reel and stuff is I'm holding the camera in one hand and I'm laying on a table and I have a real drill in my other hand. So what I do is I'm looking at the camera one more time and I have a drill and I'm bringing the drill down right into my eye. And right before it touches my eye, I stop. So when you're seeing it, it's actually me driving the drill, and I was like this close to actually getting the drill into my eye, a real drill, for more of a real factor. And then we just put over Here Comes Peter Cottontail behind the whole film, the song right behind
it. Cool. And so after The Box, you got into a couple of more short films called Food Disposal, Little Fishy, and Guillotine, or Guillotine, as we might call it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about these projects?
The Food Disposal one, the same time I did the box film, it was in the morning, and my aunt has a food disposal in her dish, in her sink. So then in the
Mm-hmm.
scene, I'm just like figuring out what's in the garbage disposal, and then you see a shot of me actually sticking my hand into the garbage disposal, and then I accidentally flip the switch on, and then of course my hand gets shredded alive into the food disposal. Um, Guillotine was, I actually have a wooden guillotine with a type of metal blade, and it cuts off right before it hits you for like a prop type thing. So it was me inside the guillotine with my head inside, and you see the guy coming over to raising it up. He's about to drop it on me, and you see it hit it, and then it cuts to the head in the basket, like I got my head chopped off. Another short fun thing we just did in a few shots, where just a guillotine down.
Mm-hmm.
Little fishy was, we were in the park, me and my friend, and we're like, let's just make a film inside the metro parks. So we didn't have any equipment but a phone with us. So every time the phone is actually still, we actually have the phone in a tree or hanging on like branches on the tree to try to record us. So we had to get the right height for each branch for some of the scenes. And then the rest of the film is he's either holding the camera or I'm holding the phone, and we're shooting each other's shots like that way.
Okay.
And at the end, it's like I've reached into the water and I feel something getting my hand, and a fish eats my hand. And then the last shot, you just see blood in the stream at the metro parks, and then a hand floating. And then I had to run in and get the hand, and we had to say cut.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So after Guillotine, you did some short or got involved in some short film projects called Bowsaw, Blind Joe, In the Woods, and Phil. Why don't you tell me a little bit about those projects?
Yes. 3 of those. I'm also, outside of filmmaking, a Eagle Scout, Boy Scout, adult leader now, and I'm also a merit badge counselor. So I actually teach younger kids filmmaking, photography, theater for their own requirements. So Bowsaw and Into the Woods I did out during a summer camp, and I always bring my camera out there, and I'll film a film every summer camp now.
Okay.
Just to shoot something. So Bowsaw is where I'm cutting wood with the saw, and it slips, and I cut my hand with it, and it comes off. Into the Woods was me and another friend of mine at the time went into the woods, hearing noises, and there's a killer in the woods, and eventually they come and get me. That was also shot at the summer camp.
Okay.
Blind Joe was the first project I did as a helping counselor for filmmaking for the kids. They had me in charge. So the kids, I had to tell them how to use the equipment, how to direct, how to write, how to act, and all that stuff very quickly.
Okay.
I gave them the camera. I watched them shoot it, and it was a good way for me to like practice also, because if I'm not a filmmaker, I want to be like a film instructor, film teacher one day. So I would they were shooting their film, they directed it, wrote it. It's more comedy, no horror at all.
Okay.
Their project fully. I'm just on it as a watcher, like producer type thing for it. And then Phil was another one of our type of characters we have in a lot of films, like Bozo's in some of the films. Phil is an alien skeleton, and that's the first time he actually came to life and killed someone. And it's me in the bed, and Phil's like shaking his legs into the sheets, and he's crawling up to try to get me, and you see him with a pocket knife in his hand, and eventually he sticks his hand in my throat, and I'm starting to choke on him, and that's how it usually ends as well.
Okay. And after that, you were involved in a few short films called Homecoming Slasher, Nighttime, Frankenstein, and The Typewriter. Why don't you tell us a little bit about those projects?
Yes. Homecoming Slasher was a short film we actually did during homecoming. I never really cared about school dances. I didn't go to my prom or nothing like that. So we went to the homecoming. I went with 2 of my filmmaker friends instead, and we actually shot a film during homecoming. So you'll see shots of the people dancing at homecoming without me trying to get caught holding we had a phone. No, I had a camcorder. I didn't want to bring any good camera in case I got caught. So we're just shooting random stuff with the camcorder at the school dance for high school. and then you see us leave, and then it cuts to where we're in the house. We never shot anything else that night, sadly, to go with it, so we just put a little, like a font, like we wrote out what happened after, and like a U type of thing. Nighttime. Oh God. When you make so many, you kind of forget after a little bit.
That's okay.
Because I know a lot of them are like the guerrilla style films where it just happens. So, I mean, I can't even think about that one. The typewriter was one where I actually wrote it when I was younger, same time as Cricket Boy, Dark Side Stories, and some of the other stuff when I was a kid in middle school. And it's based off the same idea as Goosebumps.
Okay.
Goosebumps version of it. I did another one called The Haunted Mask, which is basically based off The Haunted Mask as well. But the typewriter was wherever I wrote on it came to life. I was able to use a new kind of lighting, which was candlelight, which I really enjoy. Candle lighting in films now, which I do a lot of still.
Okay.
And then Freakenstein is a film that was one of the hardest ones to get on YouTube because of so much copyright music we used. It's mostly like a rock and roll love horror type film. With the monster come to life, and he's trying to find this girl, and throughout the whole film, you're just hearing a lot of 80s style music for it. And then some killing. It's one of the films that has the most continuity ever. So, like, there's a scene outside where it's daytime, and then the next shot's raining, and then the next shot's back to daytime because the weather was acting up so bad that day. But we just left in the film because of just a short film. Who really cares about it? And then I know a lot of the music it's all copyrighted, but then sometimes it was like too strict. I just go on YouTube and find like a cover version of the song of someone singing it, and I threw it in the film. They have it, which I've done a couple times. But a lot of the films have copyright music from like real artists, 80s musics in general. And then, of course, it's just going to go to any money makes go to the artist, which I'm fine with because I just want to make the content to be seen out there. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers anyway, so right now I still don't even get paid for anything until we get 1K. So it really doesn't matter anyway right now for us. So it's just another fun thing I like to do is put in some fun music for all the films now and then.
Okay. And after the typewriter, you got involved with some projects called Origins of the Pumpkin Man, Giggles, Parade Candy, and then eventually you got involved with Nightmares Unleashed. Why don't you tell me a little bit about those projects?
Origins of Pumpkin Man is the origin story of how Pumpkin Man came to be Pumpkin Man type of thing. It's me carving a pumpkin, and they start talking, getting mad about it. And then you see me at night, and like I have these giant pumpkin animatronics. So I put them in my room, and then they start talking to me. And then they throw a pumpkin bomb at me, which turns me into the Pumpkin Head Man. So the last shot, you see my hand normal, and then when you turn it around, you see me at the Pumpkin Man hand, which is how it cuts to it. Giggles is another Christmas style one we did for fun where I have this clown animatronic, and I had a doll of it, like the same kind, and I got it for Christmas. And my friend's really mad I don't like the present, so he tries to bring it to life, which it comes to life, but as a mutant. So we have a bigger version of the clown, which eventually kills me in the bed as well. Parade Candy is our all-woman cast film, and also what we like to show off during Pride Month as well, because one of the writers was a female as well, who's also bi. Another actress was pansexual, and another one is a lesbian as well. Yay! So, and I worked with them also as the crew, so it was mostly a female-led project that we did, and all the cast really are majority of the cast are LGBT community as well for that film, and that one is when we also stopped selling DVDs of, and it's just on YouTube now to watch. A lot of the older ones that were on DVD, instead of me keep making copies of them, I just uploaded them to YouTube, just because I'm not going to keep making so many movies for conventions. I'll bring up more of the newer ones because I'm more proud of the newer ones. So all the older ones are eventually coming out to YouTube every now and then. And then Nightmares Unleashed was my child project at the time. It was my final project for my community college school, but we actually were filming it before we actually were told to film it for school because I wanted to anyway. It's about a girl who gets sucked into TV, and she must face all the nightmares or the movies she's watched, with the lead antagonist Joseph the Jester. And then that's actually the film we're bringing back out in 2023. We're shooting at. We've been planning it, actually the feature-length script, for 2 years so far. We're getting the cast loaded together for that. It's going to be part horror, part thriller, part musical, part film noir, a lot of different crazy stuff. We're also looking into getting better known cast members involved. We have Kara O'Brien for it, who was in Night of Something Strange so far. We just sent out an email to Lloyd Kaufman for the project, and we're actually sending out an email from one of the Dream Warriors from Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 2 other special guests if they do it, based on the budget also, which I'm not saying names yet for who those 2 special people are yet, but it's a really the dream project that I think is going to make me on the mark as an indie filmmaker and get me more noticed finally after all these years, just because how much time we've been putting into it, how much work was already gone to it, how much of my own money has been put into it so far. We haven't even I know we're doing the Kickstarter in 2022, so far everything that's been paid for has been my own money so far. So it's just a really big passion project that I really want to be a big success in the end, because I already got a new camera for it, we're getting new equipment for it, everything. We're going out with a bang for this one.
Well, yeah, doing a full feature film is a heck of a long project, especially when you're used to doing short films. So it'd be a neat adventure to see you accomplish your goal.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've done films around like a 50-minute mark, but they're all anthology styles, really. So this is like the first, like the script's 90 pages. It's all the same story involved happening throughout. So it's going to be a long process, but we're really excited to finally make this happen.
Nice. So after Nightmares Unleashed, the short film project, you got involved in a couple of short films called Drugula and Apples 2, Evil to the Core. Why don't you tell us a little bit about those projects?
Drugula was a version to do a Dracula-style film, a vampire movie, our first one. And instead of doing like regular vampire stuff, like how you see like they bite the next turn of vampires, the vampire actually gives drugs to all the kids. And when they take the drugs, that's what turns them into vampires instead of the normal way. But you'll see them like take the drugs and the vampire still bites them. But they even say like the reason they become vampires is because the vampire's handing out the drugs. That's why they're Drugulas and not regular Draculas. And eventually, a lot of people, they all turn into vampires at the end, and you see them running havoc around the streets. And then we actually brought Drugula back as a little teaser thing in Freakenstein 2, because originally we had a plan to make a Freakenstein and Drugula film combined. And it's going to be like our Monster Squad type thing in Universal Monsters, where they all come together.
Yeah.
But all the people who were in Drugula and Freakenstein were part of the old group, so none of the old cast would be coming back but myself. So it really wouldn't matter for that one. And then Apples 2 is the sequel to Apples 1, and it's a lot more bloody. We actually shot in locations without permission for that one as well. Well, we had permission for one location, which was a soda and candy shop in downtown Cleveland, and the other location we didn't have rights for. We just shot there, and we shot at a elementary school playground in the back when school wasn't in session. So it's the sequel to Apples. She's coming back for revenge. It's a final wrap around what happened to her original man at the time. And then it ends finally with the first character dying, who survived the first one. And we originally did have plans to make an Apples 3, and we had posters made for it as well, and we had like a storyline develop. But because we do so many other projects, we canceled it, and also because we lost lead actress for that also during the group leaving. So
Okay.
we haven't done nothing with that one yet. But it was Apples 1 and 2. I think Apple 2 is like a good closure to it, how it ended anyhow. So
Okay. So that ends the 2018 run. But let's ask you a little bit about the films that you started in 2019. Here you got involved with some projects called The Hamburglar, Wake Up, A Simple Delivery, and Spirit Halloween. Why don't you tell us a little bit about those projects?
okay, Hamburglar and The Delivery, Simple Delivery, were two films I did my first year of college. So of course, the way our college works, which really sucks for me as a filmmaker, is they don't like R-rated films, which really put me, my main ideas out.
In a little niche, as you would say that obviously isn't school related.
Yeah, I mean, the Hamburglar is more comedy. The Simple Delivery is also comedy. I tried putting a tiny bit of horror, but then after the first year, I kind of said screw it. And then my second year, I actually did a more horror film style thing, which made some of the students actually turn their chairs and say "ew," and they couldn't watch it, which was a success for me actually. But the Simple Delivery, the Hamburglar is about the Hamburglar from McDonald's. We had the costume. He's stealing McDonald's, and then the guy at the end is like McDonald's hamburgers go better with Wendy's sauce. Is how we ended it, type of thing.
You know what's
Simple
kind
Delivery,
of funny is the whole reason why McDonald's had the Hamburglar be so successful in their commercials for many years is because they copied it off of some people from, I believe it was H.P. Huff and Stuff. In fact, H.P. Huff and Stuff actually sued McDonald's, and that's why you don't see the Hamburglar in commercials anymore. Did you know that?
I did not. Learn something new every day. Simple Delivery was someone delivering a package at the end of the street, and things happen to him along the way. Really simple things. It's really it's more of like a boring. Here's a school project film. All right, I'm done. Moving on to my horror films outside of school. Spirit Halloween was a film I did while I was working at Spirit Halloween. No one was at the store at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime someone did come to the store, I would stop recording and, of course, help the people. But I just had the camera set up in spots, and I was like walking around Spirit Halloween at the end. Originally, I was gonna have another one of the coworkers be in it, and they killed me in the back, and
Mm-hmm.
they didn't want to do it, of course, last minute. So it's another one where it ends where I wish it didn't end the way it did, but I still wanted to post it on YouTube because anything I make, I'm gonna post on YouTube, even if it's not fully complete the way I want it to be. But they're also not real films. They're really short, random things I've done outside of the real stuff. And then Wake Up is a more weird film for horror. And a lot of people enjoyed it because it wasn't like the normal horror I did.
Mm-hmm.
It's black and white. There's weird music throughout it. There's like a part of me like cooking eggs in one part. Someone's losing their teeth in a scene. I'm burning $1. We burn money in the one part of the film also. It starts with us burning money and it ends with us burning money.
Mm-hmm.
And the money's getting burned at the end. Actually, the way it burned, it made like devil horns into the dollar bill for the fire effect. Which when that happened, we're like, oh, hold on, this is gonna look sweet in the film.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just like a lot of random, weird, like, creepy type vibes. And eventually, we made a longer version of it, which got into an anthology film of mine, Tales to Chill the Bone, Volume 1. We threw Wake Up in there as the fourth mix in the 5 anthology short films for it.
Okay. So A Simple Delivery and Spirit Halloween. Tell us a little bit about those.
Oh, we just did.
Okay. After those, then Bloody Pounds, Makeup Massacre, Luke the Freak, and Baby Oliver. Tell us a little bit about those projects.
Bloody Pounds is the other CSU film I did my first year, and I slowly put in a tiny bit of horror element to it with a little fake blood at the end. And both actors are having like British style accents, like John Lennon's he has a John Lennon type voice he uses for the character. It was a film where the school just wanted us to play with certain like audio learn how to use audio better or some crap.
Okay.
So it was big random project. They're handing out money for like a deal that went down that went wrong, and they kill him at the end. Of course, no real like prop weapons could be on set also for the school, for no like fake gun for that one. And then Luke the Freak, Baby Oliver, and then the Wake Up are all three that were part of Tales of the Bone anthology, along with the newer Dark One version, which is the fourth one besides Makeup Massacre. Yeah, those Makeup Massacre, Baby Oliver, Wake Up, Luke the Freak, and the Dark One are all 5 for the Tales of the Bone series, the first one. And so Luke the Freak is about a kid who wants to join a circus, but his parents, his stepfather, is upset that he wants to do that for a living and not get a real job, and how he's lazy, doesn't pay rent or nothing. And eventually, when he has the makeup on, the dad beats him in the shower and tries to take the makeup off, which is the last straw for Luke, which he puts the makeup back on one last time. He kills the dad, and he's leaving home. And then, like, the last shot, we see the dad wearing a clown nose in the scene.
Okay.
That's how we ended it. And then Baby Oliver is one of the few films that actually got a lot of, like, Benny. Like, it had a lot of people saying, you shouldn't have made this type of film. Like, it was controversial at the time when we made it. And I'm sure it would still be now. But it's this gay couple living together. They have a newborn baby they adopted. They're married and stuff. And then the baby's crying at night, and the one guy's really getting annoyed about the baby crying all night.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to check on the baby a couple times throughout the night, back and forth, rocking it. Then he comes back and talks to it for a little. And then the final straw is when he goes into the baby's room, and you see the guy strangling the baby with its pillow and suffocating it to death with the pillow. And then for the sound effects, we actually had real baby crying and real baby choking sounds we got.
Mm-hmm.
It's really authentic. And when the guy walks in, you just see the other dad suffocating the baby with the pillow, like laughing about it. And then he talks like, I kept the baby quiet for you, honey. And then that's how it ends, just like that. So, of course, a lot of people didn't like that, how we did it. And I'm sure it'd be like a cancel culture thing still to this day, the way cancel culture works now for films. And then Makeup Massacre was the one that we did first for the Tales of the Bone. And it's about a guy who has to do makeup on a new actor, but him and the actor actually have problems together. So when he actually does the makeup and starts cutting it, he actually starts cutting his face and making him bleed on purpose. And at the end, he eventually kills the actor he's trying to do makeup on. But it was a plan all along, because the director's like, wow, that's really great. Good job on making that. Like, he's excited that he's dead now, too.
Okay. Moving on to the Dark One, which is obviously part of your Tales to Chill the Bone anthology. Krampus 2, Irrigating the Mouth, and Party On. Why don't you tell me about these projects, how you got involved in them?
Well, the Dark One is for Tales to the Bone, which is the pumpkin monster coming back, but more real this time. And they're bringing him back to life, and he eventually kills both the people, and he actually takes over the body of the one person. And then for the Tales to Chill Your Bones series, for the 5 of them, we actually did all 4 of the short films out of 5 in a weekend. We actually shot all 5 within 2 days only, all 5 short films. And it was like we're putting in VHS tapes, and each VHS tape is one of the short films that we create, which is how we did the wraparound. Krampus 2 is probably the most complicated Krampus out of all of them, because it was Toys of Evil, which of course there's going to be a lot of toys in it, and it was a lot of technical issues with them. So like there's one scene with a train coming to life in a train track running over a kid's foot, and the train was an older train, so every now and then it would actually fall off the track, and we have to keep reshooting it, putting it back on the track, and it was such a nightmare to do, and I'll never do it again. And then the other hard part was we actually had mechanoid robots, like real robots you could have bought at the time, and you can control them from your phone. So you actually see robots walking and attacking them, and then the robots, of course, started not working fully, and they started doing their own thing randomly. A spider robot from the same company, and the spider robot's walking to the woman trying to spit spider webbing at the kid. And there was also the last film before we actually got down for scheduling time right. Like as a filmmaker, you gotta know like your time budget and your time. And it was, we started at like 12 p.m. and like the last shot we wrapped up at like 3 in the morning. So that was like way before we knew time constraints and stuff like that as a filmmaker for myself, because it was a more ambitious project. And the last scene, you can tell like everyone's so out of it, like they don't want to do it, type of idea. And then like even the lead actress who came out actually drove 3 hours that day. So when we got done at like 3:30, she had to go back like 3 hours to her hometown. And I think it wasn't a school night; it was a weekend. But it was just such a hard time because of the time constraints. But we weren't aware of our time at the time, because I was actually getting more going into the films. Like now, some of my films we get done earlier than we were supposed to, which is what I like to do. I want to make sure the cast get their stuff done, we shoot the scenes, and they're on their way. So I'm better on time management now than when I used to be. Irrigating the mouth, we had one of my friends actually had something wrong with her, where she had a hole in the back of her throat, and I just wanted to get footage for actually irrigating her mouth with the needle in her back of her mouth. So we got shots of her mouth open, squirting the water inside of it, seeing the inside of it better, which we just put together a little short film for that, just to show it. And then Party On is one of the 5 shorts we actually have for Tales of Chill the Bone Volume 2, which is 5 more shorts. And Party On is where, of course, someone's birthday, and at the end they are mad about the one person because they get aggravated with them about something. And then the last scene you see them take the head of the person and smash it in the cake. So I had my mom make a cake for the shot, and then when they slam my head in the cake, of course you only do a 1-shot take, and then you see him take the knife and start cutting my throat. So then all this blood's dripping onto the cake, and then like you see the shot of him like cutting the cake, and there's just my blood and dead body coming from the cake also.
Okay, very cool. So after Party On, you got involved in a few more projects called Sandman, Diamonds and Hearts, Eyes, and the White Masks. Why don't you tell me a little bit about those projects and how you got involved with them?
Sandman, Diamonds, Hearts, and Eyes are 3 more for Tales from Volume 2. Sandman is about our Sandman creature, and it's the trailer actually has been removed from a couple, like Facebook removed it, Instagram removed it, because we had Metallica Sandman playing in the background for the trailer. But the kid has like nightmares of the Sandman, and the Sandman's telling him he has to face his fears throughout the film. The kid has to you see the kid with a minotaur in the shot. The dark one the pumpkin version comes back with a pumpkin woman, and they have like a virgin sacrifice at the time. And we actually had the pumpkin guy speaking Arabic this time. My friend could speak it, so he put subtitles in it, and he would speak Arabic as the pumpkin. And then a couple other things. And then we had the Easter Bunny come after giving him. And then he faced the Sandman at the end, of course. And it's a repeating process. We find out he's never going to escape the loop. Diamonds and Hearts is about 2 clowns that kidnap little kids, and then they eat them. So we had a 4-year-old kid, his first speaking role. He cried twice on set. I felt bad because when he showed up, we were already in our makeup and costumes, which we don't do anymore. So when he shows up to set, he just sees a bunch of creepy clowns looking at him, and the director's already a creepy clown. And then you see him in a cage for a shot. He goes on a table, and we slice his wrist for a second, but we don't see it, and we just see him lick the knife. and then we see a bunch of clowns on the kitchen table, and there's like they bring out a prop chest. It's like bloody chest, and you see all the clowns digging in, grabbing organs and stuff. And then the final clown brings in the new kid. So I pick him up and I'm carrying him to this table, and I place him down on the table, and all the clowns are looking at him. We had to change some stuff around because the kid was terribly freaking out during the shot. I mean, it was bad. So I had to change some stuff last minute, which I was fine doing for him. But then you see us all like leaning in forward to him, about to eat into the live kid, because I talked about how, and I say it for a few films, that we injected him with something where he can feel and see everything that's happening, but he can't move. So he knows what's going to happen to him, type of thing. And all the clowns are getting ready to eat him. And then eyes, we wanted to shoot it where it was perspective only of an eyeball, or close-ups only of her eye throughout the whole film until the end. And it's basically about a woman with beautiful eyes, and these two guys kidnap her, and they want to take her eyes away from her. So like organ harvesting type of thing, but they only want her eyes because how many people say they're so beautiful, which they harvest at the end. And then White Masks was the film I did for my school that made kids turn around in their seats and say "ew." It's a virgin sacrifice for the dark one. I guess the pumpkin guy's coming back for this one. But this time he has demonic wings and they can flap. So we had that for our 80s type of monster. And we're shooting it, and then the part that they all freak out about is the pumpkin reaches inside of her chest, and you see him pull out liver, he pulls out organs, and then you see him like eating on it, and like he's like caressing her face and her body type of thing. And then it ends with all the people also eating her body parts, and people are like, "Ew, that's so gross." It's like it's a horror film. Come on now.
What did you expect? You know,
because our teacher at the time, professor, said, "Well, we're going to be watching these on Friday 13th, so hopefully I see some scary stuff." I was the only one who did something actually like horror, and he even said at the end, like, "Oh, thank you for making a horror film. I liked how you stuck with your because my motto is bloody horror with an 80s twist." And of course, I say with the bloody horror, and then 80s twist, of course, was the creature monster with the pumpkin mask and the giant demon wings, which is always fun to do.
Okay. So after White Masks, you got involved in some more projects called Snowman. I guess you redid Easter Massacre?
That's a different film.
Okay. It's a different film?
Yeah.
Okay. So Easter Massacre, the different film, and Wardrobe of Death, and Dr. Noel. Why don't you tell me a little bit about these projects?
Easter Massacre is, I originally had a script where I wanted a kid in a babysitter type situation with an evil killer bunny situation.
Okay.
And our main kill was the bunny takes the chainsaw and chainsaws the girl in the bedroom from her private part up to her head and slices her in half.
Okay.
That film we redid the script where that's not actually in it, but we put a different part of really cool kill in the different version. It was a really struggle because we had two actors set for the film. The one messaged me like 2 nights before saying they dropped out because their manager said it wouldn't look good on their resume based on how they died, and it wouldn't look good on them how they died. So I had to play the part. You'll see why. It's good. And then we had another actress because it was going to be our first part with a nude role. We're going to see boobs in the film. Woo, horror film with boobs. That didn't happen. And then the actress we had on set was 17, so we had to cut all the sexual parts more out for that because she's underage. So that lowered the bar a bit for me. But there was still a lot of cool kills with the Easter Bunny. We actually did a sweet film even with her being a minor, like we talked about. We're going to do it, and I got to get the special condom from downstairs for it. And when I leave, the bunny comes by, and you see it. We have it on YouTube also, like the makeup of like start to finish how we did it. But the bunny is actually ripping her whole skin off her face, and we see her exposed muscles inside her face, which is how that's when we started getting sweet makeup artists on set too, and cooler looks. And then for the last scene for the Easter Bunny, to put in another sexual kill type of thing, I'm tied up to the chair, and the bunny has a whip, and I'm getting whipped in the back, and I actually got whipped for the film, so I had like marks on the back of me after. Then, well, the part coming up, it didn't really happen. I'll tell you right now. But you see her go down with a knife on my my hot
Lower
dog.
regions.
Yeah, my hot dog. And you see her chop it off, and then she shoves it. I have a ball gag. She takes off my ball gag, and she shoves my own hot dog into my mouth, and I'm choking on it. And and then you hear my mom in the background laughing while this is happening. There's blood squirting everywhere with it. And then I like slowly die from that. And I mean, we already talked about doing like a sequel to it because it was a way for us to do more just like crazy Easter kills in general, like an Easter bunny killer, or just like a trailer for it that doesn't really like a fake trailer, mock trailer.
Yeah.
But that one actually did very well in the festivals. It was like the first film since Nightmares Unleashed that actually killed it at film festivals at the time. A lot of Wardrobe of Death was one where it was the first one I wanted to do actually every single job on set by myself, including besides just the camera and directing and acting in it. I also composed the whole film myself for that one.
Okay.
So it wasn't like the greatest, and it's really short. But I shot it on my VHS camcorder with a VHS tape on it, and then basically the wardrobe eats me, comes to life and eats me, and I die in the wardrobe. So that's always a fun thing to do. And then I know Snowman and Dr. Noel are 2 out of 5 of the shorts for Tales to the Bone, Volume 3, the Christmas edition. So Snowman's basically a guy who dies by a killer snowman. He's peeing in the snow. He bites the carrot off the nose of the snowman. And then the final scene is the snowman takes his carrot nose and shoves it into the guy's own face. In the last shot, you see the bitten off carrot sticking out the guy's face, and he's all wintry snow, like he's turning into a snowman himself.
Okay.
Dr. Noel was a doctor who's experimenting with toys, and he brings a new woman in, and he turns her into a toy. But then this is when all the toys start rebelling. So all the toys come to life, and they're like, we had enough of this, because they're actually people. And they all kill Dr. Noel themselves. And you see them injecting it with the same stuff, and they eventually turn him into like a Christmas ornament. And the way they finally kill him is they break the Christmas ornament, and he's finally gone. And they think we'll finally bring them back to how they were. Like they found the formula, how to bring them back to human.
Okay. So after Dr. Noel, you got involved with a few more projects called Dearest Dolly 2, The Boogeyman, Garland, and Bowling Alley of Death. So why don't you tell us a little bit about these projects and how you got involved with them?
Yes. Dearest Dolly 2, we had the original cast from Dearest Dolly 1 on set for one last time. Well, we planned ahead of this. We're like, hey, let's make a Dearest Dolly 2 while we're all on set one more time, which we did it. Almost the same type of film. We're doing a bunch of random stuff with dolls and toys. And then more crazy stuff happened. There was another just rained up as we went along film to bring back to the original first ever gorilla film. Bowling Alley of Death was really sweet because we actually shot it at a bowling alley without, of course, permission to shoot at the bowling alley. So you see shots of us bowling, shots around the bowling alley. I put an effect in where I got a shot of the bowling balls, and I actually added a face and mouth to them. So you see him smirking and smiling while we're bowling, an evil bowling ball. Then, the guy eventually kills me at the end. But then we found out about 2 days after it came out on YouTube, the bowling alley found out we actually filmed in their bowling alley. And we found out they actually shared the video to their website themselves on their Facebook. They're like, hey, because I told them, I'm like, guys, you won't believe what happened. That bowling alley shared our YouTube video on their Facebook. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I was never expecting that to ever happen. Because I thought they'd be like complaining about it or like saying something, but they actually shared it, which was pretty sweet, actually. Garland was another Christmas one I was doing by myself where I had actual Christmas garland come alive and actually strangled me in my bed, and it's killing me. Boogeyman is one of the 5 films we use for Bed Bugs, which was my 50-minute anthology film, which is a Halloween type anthology film. So Boogeyman is another one of Luke Wood's stories that we brought back to life.
Because wasn't Bed Bugs the name of one of your short films, or
No.
Oh, okay. So it was an actual full anthology film.
Yeah, Bed Bugs was a full anthology with 5 kids going trick or treating, and they're hearing stories from each house they go to.
Okay.
Boogeyman was one of Luke Wood's original stories as well. We brought back, and it's the only one that's more. We want to make the short films go from least scary to most scary as it went along. The Boogeyman looks like a Cenobite from Hellraiser. But the film is about where a kid keeps seeing like the Boogeyman. He's like, call your mom to look in the closet. If she doesn't see me, I'll give you a cookie.
Mm-hmm.
So the kid calls the mom again. We see her look in the closet, and the Boogeyman's looking at her. She don't see the Boogeyman. And then when she leaves, she's like, get to bed. He's like, okay. So the Boogeyman comes out the closet. He gives them the cookie. And then the kid's like, well, why do you give kids cookies in the closet? And the Boogeyman's like, we need cookies to fatten you up, Billy. We got to make sure you're good enough to eat. And then the kid's like freaking out, drops the cookie, and he's like, and the Boogeyman's like, we're just kidding. Monsters are vegetarians, type of thing. So we ended on a note where they're just laughing, having fun. But then after that one, the rest of the films are more horror, of course.
Oh, yeah. So after Bowling Alley of Death, you got involved with a few more projects called The Raven, The Black Cat, The Telltale Heart, and Berenice. Why don't you tell us a little bit about these projects and how you got involved with them?
All 4 projects are variations of course, Edgar Allan Poe's own work. For anyone who actually knows Edgar Allan Poe, of course, he's all 4 of their his projects of his original stories. 3 of them I rewrote the endings to be more original, and one of them we actually added a scene. Berenice is the one we added a scene into. But all 4 of them were involved into our anthology film called Poe's Stories, where friends are reading a book of Poe. And at the very end of the film, whatever story they read is what they'll turn into. So the guy who read The Raven turns into an actual raven. The Black Cat, the guy's turning into a cat, like full-on cat makeup prosthetics. Berenice, the girl's losing her teeth. And then Telltale Heart, the kid who read the story turns into an old man and eventually turns into dust, like the Avengers Endgame type of effect we did, where he turns into dust. But like in the Raven story, the thing that we changed different was the guy turns to a raven at the end. He has a raven mask, wings. He's like a full monster raven type of idea. Black Cat is we reversed the roles a bit more. We didn't reverse the roles, but the guy at the end hid the body in the closet, and the cops find out he did it. And then eventually the guy shoots himself in the mouth, and the blood lands on the cops, which never happens in the original. And then Telltale Heart, it's the same way, but he actually killed all the cops that try to get him. And then you see him in the asylum in a straitjacket, freaking out, telling his own story throughout the process.
Okay. And after Berenice, you got involved in a few more short films. Krampus 3, Hell Awakens, Fish Food, Present from Hell, and Vampire Madness. Why don't you tell us a little bit about those projects and how you got involved with them?
Krampus 3 is, of course, one of our Krampus films. And the thing we do for the Krampus films is a lot of the films we have returning cast for some of the roles. Like, hey, we liked you in this film. Do you want to be back for this film? The Krampus series is the only film series where every time I have to bring in different cast. I don't want the same people for each Krampus film. So this is one where we also lost out on about a couple pages of the script. We actually had a professional micro wrestler, a small person, who wanted to play an evil elf that kills one of the kids. And like the day of, he like posted how he's so excited on Instagram to do this. He's like, oh, I can't wait to be in this film. And then like an hour before he's supposed to be on set, like an hour past he's supposed to be on set, and he's not there. I call him and he sounds like he just woke up.
Mm-hmm.
And like didn't show up at all. I tried calling someone else. He couldn't get a hold of him. So I was like, well, there goes 5 pages of the script. Tossed out the window. Can't do that no more.
Okay.
And we had to alter it where on set, actually, while we're shooting this, I had to rewrite the script a bit to fit better, which, of course, took out some time, eliminated how long I wanted the film to actually be. I wanted it to be around like 20 to 30 because we took out so much due to fixing it. It got down to like 15 minutes total. And we just had a jack. We had a jack in the box instead for this part. Only kill the kid, so he pops out the jack. We built a giant. We built a giant jack in the box. Painted it, taped it with cardboard, everything. Big old thing Tim could actually pop out of. We made a moving handle on the side for it, which we used a couple times after that too. And that's also the film where I had a full thing of latex for Krampus. I couldn't see out of it trying to film. I had a friend on set doing the camera work for me at the time. I was like, you gotta shoot some of these scenes I'm not in, like I'm in, because I really can't, because I'm blurry looking at the camera. So I'm trying to get focus, even though I'm blurry looking through my eyes. So I had to really try to focus better.
Okay.
It happens on indie films, got no,
Yeah.
I have no like full out crew. I got parents doing the sound, parents moving the lights for me. I have cast who aren't shooting, moving the lights or moving audio for me. It's just what happens at the time. Fish food was one where I was shooting at Pet Supplies Plus. I got a fish, and another one where people thought animal cruelty. I take the fish out of the fish bowl and I put it in a pan like I'm cooking a tiny little goldfish. And of course, I think I die from the fish, or I killed. I either, man, I really can't think how it ended. I either killed the fish or the fish killed me. I don't know. I really can't remember too much of that one. It was just a VHS camcorder one, shot right away. At the end of that one, I actually put a saying like, I talked to the camera. I said, guys, I didn't kill any goldfish on set. It's going somewhere where people actually care about fish. So I had a video of me dropping this little goldfish off, and I put it in. I gave it to my grandpa who has like all these other fish. And I said, all right, guys, look what's happening. The fish is free. I didn't do nothing to the fish. It's a goldfish. It's 10 cents anyway. Who cares? They're feeder fish anyway, so what's the point? Present Vampire Madness was one of the ones for bed bugs. It was a vampire film where another thing happened where for indie films you can expect anything to happen, and we had someone drop out and never told us where they were at. 2 people actually dropped out. Well, they never showed up on set. I tried texting both the actors. Both of them did not text me back. And then weirdly enough, the girl who didn't show up auditioned for another role, and she didn't show up to that role either. So then she tried emailing me a third time, and I just blocked her. I'm like, I'm not going to have you ever try for all my films again. 2 times is enough for me. So we had
fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, shame on both of us.
Yeah. I was like, it's done. I'm not even going to try to get you on set again. I don't care. So that was another one. We lost pages of script. We had to change the ending last minute. Actually, one of the things I really liked about the thing, and I really felt bad because I don't like people getting hurt on my set. There's a scene with the kids in the car door, and I slammed the car door on his face, and God, I felt so bad. It wasn't bad, but it very slightly like hits his head from the door, and where the camera's at, when I sped it up in post, it looked like I actually slammed the door right into his head, and it actually looks so cool for the shot because it actually hit him very lightly, but the way it came out so sweet. And like even watching it now, I'm thinking, God, like, I hate it.
That's okay. At least your mom didn't slam your fiance's hand in the door on a hand that she hurt like on a job once, like really bad. The first time that we went on a full ass trip together.
Wow, that's something else.
We were just talking about that the other day. You know, well, my fiance she's kitty sitting right now at my parents' place because they're out on vacation or whatnot, and we were just talking about that. That you know, my mom actually slammed your hand in the door, and she's like talking to me about how much she loves my mom, and I'm like, but when you guys first met, she did that, you know. But in any case, this isn't about me. This is about you.
Oh,
So
that's fine. I like it. Good to hear those little stories every now and then.
But in any case, so after Vampire Madness, you got involved with a film called The Corona, which I imagine this is about the time that the coronavirus just started to come out.
Yeah. In general about coronavirus, when it happened, I know a lot of people said, you know, we can't film anymore. Let's not do this. When COVID hit, and it's sad to say, but a lot of people, you know, lost their jobs. It also opened time for them to do shooting. So during like March when it happened to the end, like the main part of COVID in the summer, we did like 20 short films. I just didn't stop. And actually, our biggest set, we had about 30 actors on set in July, like the first year COVID hit, which of course is against one of the rules for our governor said whatever at the time.
Yeah.
But we're making art. I don't care. I'm going to make these films. We took a break for about a month in general for like bigger films, just in case. But throughout the whole time of COVID, and actually still up to this date, no one on my set has gotten COVID from anything. So that's the one thing I can always say is, hey, we got all these people on set. No one's gotten COVID yet. Can't say nothing to me yet. I mean, and then the corona was just a way for me to make fun of coronavirus at the time. So it's like, it's just me in the set. I have someone doing the voice of our governor in the film, but it's not his name. It's supposed to be like the governor. And I did it where if you got COVID, because no one knew how bad it was at the time because this is when it first came out. I made it where when you got COVID, you blew up and blood went everywhere. You turned into pink goop, and then before you had actually you had bug antennas, ant antennas coming out of your mouth. You had bleeding eyes and all this other stuff happened to you, and that was just a way for me to poke fun at it at the time, and made fun of the coronavirus for a horror film, and then a couple other films after that. I also included it very steadily, like a word of mouth about COVID in it, just because I was never going to stop filming, no matter what. Nothing's going to stop me from making movies because it's the thing I love to do. No virus is going to stop me, or pandemic, anything. We're going to keep making films. That's just how it is, though, for me. If I want to make art, I'm going to make art. That's just how it is.
Well, and I like your attitude. As long as you follow the safety procedures, as most normal people would, when things happen, they happen, and it's like you go break a leg, and life moves on. Life does not stop. You know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just the way I can say so much about it is also because we made so many films, and we still do to this time since COVID, and still from my film sets, no one's gotten COVID, so you can't say it's me. You at least know we're doing a good thing, and we're making films at the same time.
Oh yeah. So after the corona, you got involved in some more short films called The Yellow Car, Eggnog, Backdoor Plague Nightmare, and Lover of the Dead. Why don't you tell me a little bit about these short films and how you got involved with them?
So I did a thing actually during the pandemic times the first year pandemic, and also did it this summer, where I did 7 weeks of horror. So for 7 weeks, each week I'd make a new horror film for 7 weeks. So the first week, horror film for 7 weeks, 7 new films. It was a pain in the ass to do it, but it was fun to do. So the yellow car was the first one where a car comes to the car I'm cleaning. It talks to me and it's getting pissed at me for not taking its great care of it. Is it? So then you see wires coming out from the car, and they're strangling me and dragging me into the car, and then the car kills me eventually. You see my bloody hand on the wall. Backyard Play Massacre was the second one we did, and I'm like camping out in the back, and I guess it's I talked about like COVID, how we're supposed to be isolated. I had COVID, so I had to be staying away from my family at the time. So I'm in my own tent in the backyard, and then I'm like talking trash about it still. So then the governor of Ohio, who I had someone do the voice of just for a random voice called Governor, and he sent an assassin killer to come and get me, which was a monster creature, like a full monster mask creature with a giant axe. And then you see him hatching me up in the tent at the very end for it, which is always fun. Get bloody. Eggnog was for Tales of Chill of Bone Volume 3, and it's two nerds bringing over their high school bully over for the first time, and they're trying to get even with him.
Okay.
And at the very end, they make this new eggnog elixir with special potions inside. They make the bully drink it, and he's already pissed, so he's leaving the house. And then as soon as you see him leave the house, it was the second time. I think it's gonna be like maybe the last time I ever do like a special effect in like After Effects, because I'm more of a practical effects guy myself. I like doing practical horror, but we did special actual visual effects for this one, and his head explodes from his body. So he stands there, and then you see his head poof explode with blood going all over the place, which is all done in After Effects, which was sweet. But again, it's for me, it drives away from my 80s type of feel. So I stopped doing a lot of visual effects stuff. But it's always fun to do. And Lover of the Dead was another one of my really close favorites, where I'm a necrophiliac in the film.
Okay.
And I'm digging up a corpse because I'm really lonely during the pandemic and I need someone to accompany me. Okay. So I get the corpse home with me. And you see me naked in the bathtub with the skeleton, and I'm like rubbing it with soap and like washcloths. Me and this naked me and the skeleton in the bathtub, and then you see me putting a dress on it. We're dancing in one scene, and then you see you see like this really slow romantic music, and you see me strip off the dress of the skeleton. You see me take my pants off, and then you see little skeleton feet move in the bed like this, and you put little sound effects of like type of thing, and then I wake up and you see the skeleton has a cigarette in its mouth, smoke, like it's just the smoke's coming from it, and then the skeleton comes to life, and it actually talks to me, and then you see it attack me when it happens. But again, it's something fun to do. I mean, it's just, it was one of the films where it has it also on YouTube. You have to be 18 and older to watch it on YouTube now for a thing, is what they put on it.
I hear you. So after those short films, you got involved with some more called Jessica's Hand, Cleaning Day, Leftovers, and Infection. Why don't you tell me about these short films and how you got involved with these projects?
Jessica's Hand is my first ever attempt, and not going to be my last, because I did it 2 times after, and I'm going to probably do more of it, but it's claymation film. The whole film is claymation stop animation of a little clay toy, and it's like looking around the room. It starts climbing up a box, and its hand falls off, and then it gets a sad face, looks down at the hand, and then you see it like laying there all depressed. It's not really horror, but it was a good way for me to start getting into like doing claymation. So it was a first great starter film for me just to experiment with.
Okay.
And eventually we did make clay come to life. They actually killed me with clay monsters later on. But yeah, it was just another one where it's like, I always liked claymation films. ABC's of Death inspired me because they had like a claymation horror film for T is for Toilet, I think. And it was all claymation coming to life. So I was like, man, I really want to do like a claymation horror. So I had to get some practice in and posted it. I mean, it took like 4 hours to do, and the film is only like 30 seconds. So I mean, it's a tough thing to do for claymation, but it's worth it if you get it good. Cleaning Day was a film where basically I like bringing stuff to life to kill me and kill people. So this is a washing machine coming to life and actually killing me. and then you see like the washing machine with blood dripping down from it, and it spits out my hand and clothes and stuff for it.
Okay.
Leftovers and Infection are 2 shorts for a film coming out actually this month called Gross, which is an anthology horror film vault. About 6 gross films guaranteed to make someone puke or turn away from the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So Leftovers is a story where I have leftover food, and basically the end point is it gets spoiled and rotten, and then the last thing you see maggots all on the food, real maggots. I got them from Pet Supplies Plus. And then you take a bite out of the bread, and in the last shot you see like the maggots dripping out of my mouth from the food for it. Infection is when someone has a cut on their hand and they don't take care of it, and they reach their hand in a dirty toilet first, and then they put the cream on so it gets infected, and then eventually they have a giant swollen pus bucket on their hand. You see their skin like shedding on their neck. They have pus coming out from their face, dripping on their food. And then eventually you see them rip their whole skin off their hand, and their whole bone structures exposed in the shot as well for that one. There's a lot of fun stuff.
Cool. After those short films, you got involved with some more short films as well, called Book of Evil, Isolation, Crappy Cracker, and Blorgo and Glorgo. Why don't you tell me a little bit about these short films and how you got involved with them?
Blorgo and Glorgo is the second stop animation I did with 2 claymation monsters, like a parent and a kid, and they're just walking around and multiplying as they go around. So another just short claymation I did for fun one day. Crappy Cracker is one of the films in Gross where it's based somewhat on true story that actually happened to my dad in high school. Well, my dad's friend did it. Basically, they're playing truth or dare with all this food, and then the last day they dare the guy to eat their grandpa's shit on a cracker. So in the film, you actually see him eat poop on a cracker. Of course, it's not real, but the other truth or dare things they do also is really gross. I know we use sardines and some bananas and other shots too for that one.
Okay.
And then
go ahead.
Isolation is another one I did by myself, and I just hear a bunch of random stuff talking to me, and it drives me mad, and I eventually kill myself due to everything driving me mad. And Book of Evil is when I brought I made this book monster. So I took a book from Goodwill, I burned it so it's all black and crisp on the pages and the book itself, so it's all burned. And then I added I had fake nails, and I cut them to look like teeth. I glued them onto the book. I glued a little glue stick in the back so the book's mouth is open. And then you see the book stop motion, like walking and stuff towards me. And you see it chomping and trying to eat me alive, which happens in that film. Yeah.
Okay. After those short films, you got involved in some more, called The Spirit of Christmas, Frankenstein 2, Long Live the Freaks, Need to Know, and Audrey the Bee Girl. Why don't you tell me a little bit about these short films and how you got involved with them?
Spirit of Christmas is about a man who helps a spirit with her last issue before she can get into heaven. And she basically was a pregnant mother who the husband drowned her in the tub, killing her and the baby. And her final wish is for her husband, of course, to die. So she asks the help of this stranger to help kill him. And he fights the bad guy at the end. He doesn't know why he's doing this. And then you see him with a hammer, and he's smashing the guy's face, and you see this blood going all over the place for it too. Frankenstein 2, of course, sequel to Frankenstein, where we introduced Dracula in the last 3 minutes of the film, and they're going to finally team up and fight the evil villain who came about in Frankenstein 2, which is another one where it had to go through YouTube because a lot more copyrighted rock and roll music, 80s, and I think there's one from the 70s and then one from the 90s, but it's mostly 80s melodies. Need to Know was a film I made for the 24-hour film festival. So I had to write it, film it, and edit it, the whole film within 24 hours using some of their requirements. I didn't hear back from the festival after I submitted the film about anything for the film, which is great. Um, it was a mess up because we shot it at 12 p.m. on the day of. It's supposed to be turned in at 7 p.m. So I had to shoot and edit within 7 hours, which editing I had to edit within 3 hours, which of course is always a great thing to try to rush down with everything. But it's about a family who's getting their new daughter involved in the family business where they kill humans and feast on their blood to make pizza.
Okay.
And then Audrey the Bee Girl is another one of my favorites recently, where a girl keeps picking flowers and the bee starts speaking to her, and eventually her whole face becomes a honey hive comb with instead of blood throughout the film, we actually had a whole bottle of honey dripping from her face, honey coming out of her mouth. It was a very sticky situation that day, but that's going to be in Gross, the feature film as well, which is it's a sweet film in the end too.
Okay. And then after those short films, you got involved with some more. So, you got involved with When the Cameras Stop Rolling, The Blood Throne, He Has Risen, and Croutons. Why don't you tell me a little bit about these short films and how you got involved with them?
When the Camera Stopped Rolling was the other one that we did with Luke Wood, C.L. Williams' idea in one of his stories, where it's a film set and the guy's getting tired of the lead actor. And on the film set, they have fake zombies and they actually have real zombies in the film. So eventually it's a way for filmmakers to remove actors that they don't like in the business without people knowing what happened to them. Blood Throne is also like When the Camera Stopped Rolling and some other ones that we use for bed bugs, where two siblings are fighting for the throne of hell. They have to go through 3 trials throughout and see who will be the new ruler, the king or the queen of hell. And then, He Has Risen was a film we did to push the boundaries. The trailer was actually removed from YouTube due to sexual activity, even though there is no sexual stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's basically the birth of Satan, and we see a girl giving birth, and we shot it where it actually looks like she is giving birth, and then we see blood splatter on the doctor when it's happening, and when he pulls the baby out, and it looked really sweet when we did it, but the baby actually has devil horns already attached to it, and then we're like raising it up to the dark one, and then you see me like chainsawing a girl on the table. Some other more bloody stuff happens in that one as well. And then Croutons is a film out of all these my bigger films. Croutons is the one that actually got an article written on Horror Society. Like they did a whole article about croutons, which is of course dry bred croutons, and they're trying to take over the world and killing people. So we had a lot of voiceover supply voices for that. You see all these little croutons running and trying to kill me, and they're doing other bad stuff as they go along. It's another fun one to do.
Okay. And then I'm going to ask you about 4 or 5 more short films that you got involved with, called Krampus 4, The Origin Story, Killer Christmas 2, Deadly Night, Krampus 5, The Snow Beast, and we'll start with asking you how you got involved with these projects.
I'd say IMDb I have to work with still because Krampus 5 is what we're actually shooting this year still, which is going to be we're going to try to get an Airbnb we had before for another film where owner of a campsite has had these stories of the snow beast throughout the woods, and the people don't believe him and they break the rules, and eventually the snow beast kills him and tries to attack him. Which the
Okay.
snow beast is going to be our winter type Krampus, which I actually am making like a full mask for at the moment. Let me see, it's right here. Let me grab it.
Okay.
So I'm still working on it, and it's just like a rough thing of it, but it's got winter horns on each side so far, and then like I gotta work on it still, but
Nice.
yeah, it's a full head mask I'm making for it, which is what you gotta do when you got low budget.
Oh yeah.
But that one's we're gonna try to shoot that this winter or in January.
Okay.
I'm trying with my busy schedule at the moment too, with other stuff going on all the time. Krampus 4 we did, and that's the origin story. So we're going back on how Krampus became Krampus, and he starts as a doll maker's toy, and he actually needs the blood of children to become the full body Krampus that he is, that everyone knows. So we actually have a homemade Krampus doll we found someone made online. I asked them if they had any others. They said they only made the one. So there's only one in existence, and he's hanging out at my editing station. But some other of the monsters I've had. And then you see the puppet killing 2 kids. We had a 4-year-old girl on set who got her mouth sewn shut and her needles in her head. And we had another one getting a trophy through her throat. Yeah, a trophy goes into her throat. And we see it coming out the other end, which is a really sweet effect we did. And then we had another kid getting strangled in the sheets, and you see a flashlight hitting him over in the head by the doll. And then eventually the 2 cult members take the demon to the basement to bring Krampus to the full power he is. And of course, things go wrong when Krampus comes about. He don't want anyone being in charge of him. He wants to be his own ruler. So of course, those people get something coming towards them. And then Krampus, A Killer Christmas 2 is based on the Killer Christmas 1, the sequel to it. I know I talked a little bit about before.
Yep.
But it's about 2 kids trying to investigate what happened to the original house, and they bring out someone else who experienced the house when she was a kid. So the 3 of them are trying to crack down and end the Killer Christmas killing house reign of terror. And they end it where they burn the tree, but then we see one of the people are half tree, half spider, and they insist on a threequel. And we actually had two different endings. And I asked people on the Kickstarter majority vote to pick which ending we're going to do for the film. So the ending that didn't get picked, which I liked, but it wasn't the best ending for everyone else, was you see them sitting outside smoking, getting rid of trying to get rid of the tree, and they're talking to each other, and one says, "Man, do you think there's going to be more of this?" And the other guy says, "No one wants to watch a threequel." And they all look at and they both look at the camera at the time, then look back to each other, and they're like, "Nah, it won't happen." And then they walk away, and then you see the tree sitting in the yard, like a baby one coming back, full grown, and then you see the other tree monster coming towards them, like this is going to happen for a third one.
So after those short films, you got involved with some more called Gold Coins, Danny Hall, the Killer Crab Elf, Wolf Baby, and Dino Pede. Why don't you tell me a little bit about these projects and how you got involved with them?
Gold Coins is I was asked, they wanted filmmakers to provide short films for a YouTube, or not YouTube, like some kind of like something like this, like a Streamly where they were showing films and people could donate to them. And they wanted filmmakers and artists to provide like commercials or a Leprechaun type St. Patty's Day like films. So he made a leprechaun killing film looking for his gold coins. Wolf Baby we wanted to experiment and shoot the whole thing on a GoPro, which is a wolf giving, in the first scene is a wolf giving birth to this little baby wolf. The mother dies, and the wolf baby goes on a vengeance, and the wolf baby's killing people left and right, and eventually the wolf baby is superior and gets it going on his merry way. A Dinopede was another project I did for a festival that was looking for projects that alter reality. And of course, they weren't going to pick any horror films to win this contest. So I said, I'm going to do a horror film anyway. So I basically had a giant mutated centipede coming to life that happened from a factory accident. And the giant mutant Dinopede is out killing people as well in the film, which that was a great one to have. And then Danny Hall is probably one of my favorites at the moment. It's a 60-minute film with a young boy who's drunk, who hangs out with his friends, and one day they play around with Carl's secret barrels, and he puts his hand in it, and then he pulls out to be a crab hand. So now he's a mutant crab hand, and he has elf shoes on because it falls on him. So Danny Hall, the killer crab elf, and then a third way through the film, he eventually can't swear anymore, and every single swear word comes out to be a Christmas slur, like "son of a candy cane" or "you mother snowman," like all Christmas words instead of swear words, which was the hardest thing to do for the film because it was hard not to swear in the moments and switch for Christmas ones. But it's very based a small amount on a Toxic Avenger type of vibe. Danny Hall's killing all these people different ways. Some lady's trying to make dinner for him, and she actually make crab legs for him. So when she opens the crab legs pot and he sees it, he's of course flipping out. He throws the pot of water on her face, and then you see him push her head into the actual stove, and she's getting burned alive. And then one of my favorite kills in it actually is we have those plastic candy canes that you put in your ground on Christmas, you people have. And Danny Hall grabs one of the candy canes, takes it, he shoves it up the guy's ass, and it comes out of his mouth, and the blood and poop are squirting out of his mouth for it. And then nice. Danny Hall and 9 other of my movies actually did get selected to go on Troma streaming service, Troma Now too, which is really cool when it happened. And Danny Hall was the first one I tried to promote to get saying, hey, this is so up like Troma's alley for films. So they picked that one up, and they picked up 9 other of my movies as well with that.
Nice.
Which is sweet. But yeah, Danny Hall is really a sweet film. And I mean, it was like a lot of work. It's longer, a lot of kills. I posted a thing where whoever wants to be in this movie and you want to be in the movie and die, I will write you a part in the script and I'll kill you off in the movie somehow. So people say, hey, can I make your movie? And I said, all right. So I wrote them a kill scene. I brought them out for a few hours and I killed them, and they're in the movie. So I mean, it's just a fun thing to do with crazy kills. I know we killed someone with a banana in one scene. I mean, it's really cheesy, some of the other kills too. There's a hot tub scene, and the whole feature film's on YouTube as well for people to watch.
I see on IMDb that you were involved in a segment for killer clowns for ours from outer space in something called A Pandemic.
Yes.
That is ultimately my favorite film. So how did you?
Really? I mean, it's my favorite horror film. Also, I when Spirit Halloween dropped their lineup this year, I got the shorty animatronic. I got the full masks, like they're right there. I got all the stuff from. I got so much stuff. I mean, so the Pandemic project was something that happened during COVID times, and they wanted filmmakers to for the first 50. I think it's from 2020 and 50 years beyond. So I think it was like 1970 to 2020, and each filmmaker got to pick a year. And they had to create they had to reshoot a scene from that year for the project. And then, of course, people dropped out, so I was able to pick up more projects for the thing as well. Killer Clowns was my first one. Then I did Evil Dead 2. I did Evil Dead 2 for a scene, which ultimately they were so unprofessional that they actually had 2 people make films for that same year. They didn't realize, and mine did not make the final cut. Sadly, something else that wasn't horror. And then I did Ben, the rat movie, which I shot. But the Killer Clowns one, I really wish they did it after Spirit Halloween, because when I did, I had none of the real costumes. I didn't have the real gun they have now. It's a very cheesy clown outfit, a clown mask, and I'm reshooting the scene where the girl opens the door and she's like, "What's this?" And they have the pizza boxes, and then they're like pizza, and then they shoot her with the gun. And then we did the part where I had the little candy Valentine's box with the old lady. We shot that too for it.
Nice. So ultimately, after Dinopede, you got involved in some more short films called Deadly Numbers, The Hermit Crab, Clay, and The Lord's Ladies. Why don't you tell me a little bit about these projects and how you got involved with them?
Yes. Deadly Numbers is actually a feature film, and it is a 3-hour long movie. I had filmmakers from around the world each create a film with a number from 1 to 20, and their film had to be based upon that number. So I did the intro scene with the kids at a school. I was able to use a haunted schoolhouse, like a haunted house, and they have a schoolhouse area. So we shot there for the scene, and all the kids are learning their numbers 1 through 20. I did the segment number 3 for 3D. So half my film is in 3D with the red and blue glasses for that one. And like
Okay.
people had like Quint say someone had like 15 like the killer or something. Someone had 11 for Hallows Eve with 11 in the project. So everyone had different things for their numbers, and I told them you have to stick to your number and create a film with that. Of course, it was up in the air. So there's 2 versions. The version on YouTube is the R-rated version with scenes cut out, because the NC-17 version actually has male nudity throughout the film, female nudity, and of course I don't want to get flagged on YouTube. So the stuff that you do see that is nudity is blurred out, but there's about like 5 minutes of footage that's not in the YouTube version just because inappropriate stuff. But even then, people don't watch the full thing fully because it's a 3-hour long movie, and I should have split it up into 2 segments on YouTube. But I just put it all together. But it's just a fun thing to get more people out there during COVID at the time too, and create art, which some of the people I actually still talk to, and we work on projects together now. I'll help them with their stuff where they're at from home, and they'll do my stuff back and forth. And it actually made a lot more connections for me thanks to COVID.
Okay.
Clay was the one I did where I actually made the clay monsters come to life and kill me. So I was playing with claymation and actually dying in the film for the first time. And then I actually turned into a clay monster at the end.
Okay.
Hermit crab was, I have a actual hermit crab and I have a puppet hermit crab. And I was like, I'm going to put them together. So I had the hermit crab basically mutate into a hermit crab puppet, which is what the mutated version was, which eventually killed me. And then Lord's Ladies was created for a project in Cleveland, like a festival they were doing. And it was a lot of effort editing side. I know we won the award for best makeup, but it's 4 ladies sacrifice. The festival you have to follow along the guidelines is the first page of the film. They write it. You write the rest of the film. So all the contest people have the first page of the film. Everyone has to do the same first page, and then you do the rest yourself. So I have 4 ladies sacrificing a man to the Dark Lord, and what we did was I shot the whole thing on a VHS camcorder. I put the tape into it, and I put it into the VCR, and then to make it even harder for myself, which I thought it would be good for trying to get an editing nomination, was I edited majority of the film on the VCR. So I had to rewind, record what I wanted, fast forward to the next part I wanted, rewind back and forth. And then I took it to Premiere Pro and did the audio, and I did like the credits on that. But the majority of the film was edited on a VCR, which was a pain in the ass to do. But it fits the type of film it is, and it makes it, because it's so old, the footage, it actually grained it. And it was also like the square box formula instead of like widescreen for a theater, because it was a festival where your film played at a theater. So I got to see it on the big screen, and it was the only one that was square, but it was like gore left and right, really sweet effects, ripping out organs, and you see the kids eating the organs. That was a big fun project.
Okay. Now, I guess you were part of something called Edgar and Vespera's Spooky Story Time.
Yes.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Edgar and Vespera's Spooky Story Time is my more PG kid show style themes. It's kind of like so it's basically these puppets, Edgar A. Raven, which I did the voice of, And then Vespera von der Bat is a vampire bat, and they tell scary stories to kids. And they have other friends like there's a spider puppet, a possum, and a rat, and they like teach spooky story stuff. The original was Matthew and Ophelia's Wonderful World of Fun, which is my kids show I did on YouTube, and I'm bringing back out again soon. Where we read stories to kids, we teach them lessons like saying please and thank you, respect, how to deal with the death of a family member, death of a pet, like dealing with divorce with your parents, like all this kind of stuff. And then the spooky story time was a way for us to get away with doing more spooky stories, like in Are You like what is it? Like the girl with the yellow ribbon around her neck. We did that story. We did a couple other scary.
Oh,
stories.
like from A Dark Room.
Yeah, so we did that. That was the first episode we did. Yeah.
Nice.
And then later on we have the puppets about the authors, and like we have all the audio recordings we need and footage. We just have to edit them and get it out there. The hardest part is doing the book parts, but it's like it's just a way for us to have fun and do more family friendly content. Of course, I didn't get recognition when it first came out because people were like, other parents were like, without even watching like the first 2 episodes on the real channel, the family friendly one, they're like, this guy's IMDb has all this horror films. He's gonna want our kids to be obsessed with horror when we watch this kids show. And it got a lot of backlash. And I was like, all these Karens, I'm telling them like, can you just watch the film and see what it is? Like watch the show because there's not
give it a chance.
Yeah, and then they're trying to say like you can't do both, but there's so many people out there who've done horror films and like family friendly stuff too. All the voiceover of the puppets have been in horror films also, and they're kids too for some of them. So it's just don't judge a book by its cover thing. Just what you see. You should at least watch an episode or 2 because it's all lessons in teaching kids. There's nothing really bad at all.
Okay, so after that, you got involved with 3 or 4 short films called Gore Club Elite, The Executioner Show, Order of the Skulls, and Operation Slaughter. Why don't you tell me about those 3?
I did a segment in all 3. Those are actually Dean Houlihan's projects. He lives in Ireland, and he's one of the few people I met during the pandemic that we're actually really close now. We work together on a lot of projects. I help him. He helps me. We're always there for each other, helping each other in the indie world. He has IMDb Pro, so I can actually get him to help me find the information for some of the celebrities I need in the films to get their contact information and other stuff for IMDb Pro. But he wanted me to be a serial killer and a really messed up one. And I'm like talking about beating this lady, raping her corpse, killing her, like a full-on serial killer vibe. And he wants to do like a longer version of it. And I mean, I did some footage also for like Mondo Shock and Faces of Dying. I've done stuff for, which are other filmmakers from around the world. Or creepy stuff I've done.
Okay.
But yeah, the Gore Club Elite is his project idea. He's dealing more with it to get the final one out there. But I'm basically playing a serial killer who really is abusive to women. He's like bathing, like the one scene he had me do. I had like this monologue. I'm talking about how I love the blood of women and everything, and then they see me with a big bucket of fake blood, and I'm just pouring it all over myself in the bathroom. And I'm just rubbing it all over my body. I mean, it's something different.
Yeah.
I'm very versatile. What I do, like, if you want me in a film, I'll do anything you want. Like I said, I've had my hot dog cut off in my own project. I've been choked in other projects. I get my hair gets pulled in projects. I get really whipped. So, I mean, I'll go all out for projects. I mean, it's just, I'm going to be indie for my life. I really don't want to do crazy Hollywood stuff. It's not worth it anymore nowadays because indie, I can get away with doing a lot more stuff than I would in real life.
Oh, yeah. And explain it away afterwards. So ultimately, after that, you got into some more short films called Bugged Out, Roached, and Camp Alien. Why don't you tell me about those projects?
Yes.
And how you got involved with them.
Bugged Out was a project that was a festival, very small one around here for the cicadas that came to Ohio this year, which was the Bug Out Film Festival, and you had to make a film about a cicada. or cicada in your film some type of way. So I did a film where a guy collects bug samples, and I had one of those suckers that had the bugs encrypted into the sucker, like a cricket. I used that.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end scene, it's like I'm obsessed with all these bugs, and the cicada starts talking, and then the cicada comes to life, and then I have a full out mantis costume and mask. So there's a giant mantis in the film.
Mm-hmm.
I have a giant cockroach costume in the film, and they're all talking to me, flipping out. And eventually they turn me into a bug, and the last thing you see me creep out the door as a bug as well. I turn into one of them. Roast was the special film for our gross anthology. On Kickstarter, I said if we go past our budget for like a certain extended perk value, I would include a sixth film for the project called Roached, which was going to be at a hotel full of cockroaches. We filmed at the hotel with no permission, of course, because I'm not going to tell them we're filming at a hotel with fake roaches. And the guy's dealing with the roaches in the hotel. Eventually, we have a really cool shot also. It's in my demo reel where he digs into his chest and he pulls his whole thing apart, and all the roaches are inside his body crawling along. And that one, and then Camp Alien was what I did recently at the last summer camp I went to for Scouts, which was a man trying to fight a new alien race, and you see a bunch of alien bugs walking around the campsite, and he's trying to kill
them. Nice. So after those projects, you got involved with some more, called Tapes from the Underground, Horror Realm, Shed Snakes, and Shave. Why don't you tell me a little bit about those projects and how you got involved with them?
Well, Tapes from the Underground is basically my version of Faces of Death. I had a few filmmakers film stuff to look like it was either super gory films or films that looked like it could be snuff style films.
Okay.
And then I also included real life death I found on sites and things where you see the actual filmmakers, you see animal cruelty like hunting and stuff, and real animal cruelty, and then you see actually real death in the film that happened. And we also did it where we had some copies to give away for free, and the way we did it was on the back it just said like this is R-rated and like all this stuff, and in the film there's no intro and there's no end credits, so no one knows who did what film, to keep it more like snuff style, so it ends how it ends. There's no end credits. You don't know who did what or who acted in what. You don't know any of the directors. None
Smart
of that.
idea.
Yeah. So, and we're doing a second one called Tapes from the Carnival, and it's going to be a lot more circus, freak show, and clown theme stuff. And I actually have about 20 minutes of the real style stuff for that one to include into it, which of course is going to be another way where we're going to not say who the filmmakers are. But this one I'm going to try to do it where I want about 10 filmmakers, and each filmmaker I'm going to give each filmmaker $100 to see what they can make with it. Of course, they can use their own money, but it's still $100 that they have extra to use for stuff they might need for the project.
And here's an idea for if you ever do a third one, do it mixtape style.
Yeah,
but
we had a poster made for the second one already, and we actually have a poster. We wanted like a drawing for the third one if we do one, so we do have one. But it's just a lot of base, like it's more like their stuff, but you also have to do with all the time myself I deal with, and then I have to do the other Kickstarters and get things out there before I start a new Kickstarter, so I'm not more behind. That's that whole thing. And then Horror Realm is the project I did for the latest Horror 48. And I did it where I try to do as many pull out strings as I could to try to win some awards or nominations. I put every single genre you could pick from into one big genre.
Okay. Yeah, the 48 hours. You got to do a film within like 2 days or something like that, correct?
Yeah, you have to write it, direct it, and edit it within 48 hours. Then, so I did it where I wanted to pull out as much stuff as I could to try to get ahead of the competition. Like not like I just wanted to do a lot more flip a coin. Like hopefully this works and gets us more nominations. So I did it where we did every single genre you could draw. We put all the genres into one. We had Frankenstein, we had a mummy, we had a wolf, we had demons, we had freaks, we had clowns, we had everything you could think of. You could have drawn from. And then I did a whole thing in 3D for different editing type of style. And then actually at the theater, I gave every single person 3D glasses for the film. So as soon as you walked in, you got a pair of 3D glasses with the title of the film on it for a souvenir.
Mhm.
And then I also did a part where I actually swam in the water with an actress, and the camera's underwater with her as well. So I'm actually swimming with the camera in the water while trying to shoot her with a waterproof camera case.
Mhm.
I mean, the water is like 40 degrees cold, and I'm just trying to tread water and swim with her, and she couldn't swim, so she had a life jacket on for the scene also. Um, but even we were gonna do a shot where I fall in the water with them at the same time. I didn't want to trust that with the camera because it was nasty water and I went under right away. So we had a little boat and we actually rowed the boat out to the middle of the lake, and then I shot them from the lake and when they were on the dock and they both fell into the water, and then I swam with them, hopefully to get something kind of like a cinematography nod for that part
Mhm.
also, but we didn't get nothing for that either. And then we also had like 21 people on film set for this project for 48 films. So I had to direct 21 actors, and about 4 of them were kids also, like 10 and under. So it was a huge project. We had 3 makeup artists on set. It was a monster of a project, but I just completed the director's cut, and it's going to other film festivals because we were nominated for 4 awards and we won 1 at the 48. Uh, but yeah, so
Okay.
we got other festivals we actually already got into for nominations and awards. We're just waiting to hear back from them as well. Um, Shed Snakes was another one I did for fun. I had talked about it a little bit earlier about
Yep.
me hearing snakes in the shed and they attack and kill me with some cool shots of just the shed. And then Shave is something that we did for our newest Indiegogo. We have Shave, Slaughter S'mores, and Killer Poop, which are the 3 for the Indiegogo. And for the Shave one, it's basically some guy he has a new movie role and he has to be clean shaven for the role, and he has to do it ASAP. So the guy comes on the TV trying to get him to sell a razor, and he buys it and he gets the test subject version, and the razor is shaving by itself. So you'll see me actually like scrape my face with the razor, and sometimes it's real blood from the razor coming. Like I just went real quick. So I have fake blood, and I also cut my face for like real blood from the razor coming from it too, which is, it's fun to do. Makes it look a little.
Definitely. So after that, you got involved in some more projects called Macabre Months, The Life of a Pro Wrestler and Actor, The Tale of the Bone Collector, and Terror on the Elliptical. Why don't you tell me about these short films and how you got involved with these projects?
Yes. Macabre Months is going to be our sequel to Deadly Numbers, where I'm going to have 12 filmmakers create. Each film has to be a type of the month. So one filmmaker has to make a film around January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and the film has to relate to that kind of style of month. So hopefully you get a month with an actual holiday, so it's easier for you if you want to get to like June. And The Life of a Pro Wrestler and Actor was a documentary I did for my film type of. I'm in a documentary class for my final year, and
Okay.
we're going to be short about a biopic, 5 minutes or less, in PG-13. Well, the guy I interviewed is like my best friend, John Cataline, who's been in multiple of my films. He's also a pro wrestler for indie style wrestling, and I was interviewing him, and of course, the film cut is PG-13 and 5 minutes, and then I have a director's version which is 10 minutes and R-rated because, of course, we're talking about horror films, so I'm trying to find clips of my own films that aren't like R-rated that he's in, and we both swore in it too, so I had to work around that as well for school. But it's just a fun thing to do for school, and again, he's a real interesting guy to me. He's one of my best friends, closest friends for all my projects as well.
Okay.
Terror on the Elliptical is a film where I'm working out, and I want to get stronger, so I take drugs, I do pills to try to boost it up. And of course, I take too many and they start talking to me. And soon the elliptical, I'm working on the elliptical, and actually, elliptical kills me. Like it goes faster, I crack my head on it. I'm like bleeding from the elliptical machine. All this other crazy stuff happens as well. And then the Tale from the Bone Collector was another 48, but it's also the film that has the most ever festivals, awards, and laurels of any of my films. It's a beast of a. It's an amazing film, amazing acting. We had a creature outfit. John's in the creature suit. We did makeup for 4 hours on him for it. It's like 7 minutes long only, so of course it's easier for festivals because they like the shorter films. They can put more in also.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a really good film for the 7 minutes. I can, just because I've seen how many people enjoy it, and we actually had a lot of festivals already submit it, and it's actually waiting for 25 more festivals at the moment too. We're gonna find out about. So it's a really film it's gotten to like 16 festivals. We're waiting for 25 more. It's just a real good short film that came out from us. It's real sweet.
Okay. After those short films, you got involved with some others called Spirits, Cuties, Slaughter S'mores, and Puppets. So why don't you tell me about those films and how you got involved with them?
Spirits is a film about a guy I actually filmed it at my girlfriend's grandma's house one day, because we were there, and I was like, I really like this house. I'm going to film something in it. So it's basically a bunch of ghosts coming back, and they're haunting me in the house. And eventually, we had two endings at the end of it. So one ending is I get possessed by a ghost, and the other ending I have a heart attack from the ghosts. And both are in the same film right after each other. Cooties is about the game Cootie. We have to build the bugs, and I actually made the game come to life. And I have a bunch of Cootie bugs killing me and someone else. And I actually made a mutant Cootie bug who's called King Cootie, where we glue two Cootie bodies together. There's a foot on the head. He's got multiple body parts from other Cootie bugs. It was just and then after that, people were like, "You should make more board games coming to life, like board game horror films." But Cootie was the one that was real sweet to do because it's easier to do with little Cootie bugs coming to life. Puppets was something I did in school, and it fell through because we actually shot the first scene, and I wanted the kid to come back for the second scene, and I basically kept getting blown off or it didn't work. So it's been on there. I mean, I'm trying to get it, better created, keep it going faster. But it's basically about a kid who has personality disorder, multiple personality disorder, and he has different personalities talking to him. But the way he talks to him is from the puppets. So he has the puppet on one hand talking to him.
Okay, so kind of like how Mel Gibson did the Beaver.
Yeah. So the one puppet's like remorseful and sorry, like, hey, don't do this. The other one's trying to tell him to kill people, kill the abusive father, help your mom and stuff. And the other one's saying, no, don't do it. So he's in between the middle of them. And eventually what happens. But there's a longer script made for a longer version where the second scene's already written. We were about to shoot it until everything backfired on us. So we still want to do it. We actually wrote stuff for a longer version of it with added puppets so he has different. When he grows up, he has multiple personalities. So we created 3 more puppets for different personalities he develops throughout when he gets older, which was a different side because it was more real style, like a split kind of thing, where he has different personalities. But it's the kid dealing with his own problems at his house and how it relates to him.
Okay.
And then Slaughter S'mores is what we're doing also right now for the Indiegogo, and it's a huge comedy horror. Marshmallows come to life. Evil businessman wants to make a new marshmallow to get money. The scientists make it for him, and then they take over. And then we have Nazi alien marshmallows taking over the world. The State Powerful Marshmallow Man's in the movie, killing someone. We have a vampire. We have one of the people trying to save the day is going to be Elvis Presley. And it's just a bunch of crazy random scenes of marshmallows and s'mores killing people and talking. And it's gonna be a fun project.
Sounds like it. So you mentioned this one before, but I have to ask about it. Killer Poop, uh, uh, One Night Stand, Sweet Tooth, and In the Mind of a Serial Killer. Why don't you tell me about a bit about these projects and how you got involved with them?
Killer Poop is going to be another one for the Indiegogo. So we have it where Killer Poop, Shave, and Slaughter S'mores is on the Indiegogo. And we're going to get all three of the short films out each week on YouTube starting on November 20th. Because the Kickstarter ends about 2 days before the 20th also. But it's basically the killer poop monster coming to life and tackling people. I know my 10-year-old cousin wants to actually fight the killer poop with boxing gloves and stuff. He just thought of randomly. Says, I want to put that in the movie then. Why not? I got to buy a lot of pudding and a lot of chocolate syrup for that also to simulate the death scenes as well. The other ones are all like in pre-production planning. Like I want to make them one day, but One Night Stand is basically the film I want to do that has X-rated horror film with nakedness, nudity, fake sex scenes, demonic possession, demons coming out of women's hoo-has, and a bunch of other crazy stuff also. And Sweet Tooth is another one that was from that side of the series where it's a candy monster coming to life, and these girls have to try to stop the candy monster from killing everyone.
Okay.
In the Mind of a Serial Killer was an anthology we had planned where it's the story of 6 serial killers. 4 of them are women, 2 are men, and each serial killer tells their story of why they did it and what made them drive to do it. And one of the 6 stories is actually based on a real serial killer I wanted to make a film about because there's not too many.
Okay.
It's the Russian doll maker where he would take young girls, kill them, and turn them actually into dolls. And then he would have all the dolls around his house. So when police arrested him, they found all these dolls, like kid dolls, and they're actually little girls inside the dolls, which is really twisted. But I really like the idea for a film.
Nice.
So I'd included that one, and I did 5 other serial killer stories that were all based on my ideas also.
Okay. And a couple more projects here, and with Gum and Fairy Tales and Folklores and Echoes of Slaughter. Why don't you tell me a little bit about these projects and how you got involved with them?
Gum is a film we wanted to do since I was 18, and I needed to do it's basically about genetic mutilage coming to life, giant gum monster. The boys are trying to get smarter, so they chew this gum to increase their brain power, but it backfires on them. And we wanted to do a whole CGI monster of this giant gum monster coming to life. We had an animator. We had pictures of the gum monster, how we wanted to animate it. We did teaser, like try to workshops to see how it would work. So we did all that work, and it all none of it fully came through because people kept leaving. We lost people. We lost the animator. So we got to find a new animator and some other projects and stuff. Fairy Tales and Folklores is another anthology. Anthology horror is probably my favorite subgenre of horror because you can do different shorts in one big type thing.
Okay.
It's basically 6 fairy tale and folklore stories, but my versions. So we had like a Little Red Riding Hood story. We had the striped ribbon. We had the folklore about Axe Hollow, where you would drive out to the road and you would hear a noise like "Don't get out of your car" and check the back seat type stuff whenever you go in a car, like urban legend style, which we wanted to do also. Which we had main cast picked out. Some cast moved away, different states. Other things happen, of course, like other projects. And then Echoes of Slaughter, I'm actually editing the first episode, and it's basically a radio horror drama. So there's no video, and it's all audio based. So we have sound effects and voiceovers and music in it. So it's going to be back in the olden days how people watch movies only on the radio and listen to it. That's what I'm doing with different films nowadays. So I can actually make films I want that I don't have the budget for. So the
Mhm.
first one's Hotel Orm, where a ghost is taking over a hotel and people die in the hotel. We have Pet Shop. We have a wrestling one we're working on. And then we have Carnival, which is going to be a carnival-based radio drama. And we're going to be starting more of those next year. And I'm actually editing the Hotel Orm one right now with some of the audio I got.
Very cool. So, but also you have acted outside of your films, and this is where I'm going to talk about your acting chops here. So, you were Christian Miller in She Was So Pretty. Good, be good for goodness sake. Correct.
Yes.
How was that for you?
That was an amazing experience because it was my first real film I was in. I was in high school at the time. I auditioned for the role. I saw the first film at Nightmares Film Festival, and then I met the directors, and they had auditions out for the second one. I was either 16 or 17 when they had auditions, so I did it. And I actually found all my old audition footage recently on my computer, which is so funny to look at. But the film is on Tubi now. 1 and 2 are both on Tubi, I believe. And
Yep.
it's a Christmas style slasher film, I could say. It's about a serial killer named Alfie, and it's based on the first one as well, returning back, and they're trying to figure out where the girls went missing. When I was on set for it, it was really sweet. I know I actually had to fight the cop in it, so I'm actually wrestling him in the one room and elbowing him. We knocked over stuff on accident, and then I know the way I died. At first, my mom freaked out because we actually did it. I said, "We're gonna actually do this," because I was still in that. I was in that thing like, "Hey, I want to do this." It was a suffocation with Christmas plastic Christmas bag, Christmas wrapping. So they
Okay.
had the Christmas thing across my mouth and nose, like a whole head, and they're pulling it back, like trying to let me breathe. And I was like scratching at it, and you see actually like a cut come through it when I scratched through it, and I tried to hide it because I was actually clawing at my neck. And then eventually I passed out, and it was so hard to hold my breath for a while. And I think you might see my foot move, but it was still a sweet thing to do for my first movie role, which I'm glad that happened because it made me meet so many people. And then they had when the second one played at Nightmares Film Festival, I got to see some other films, which I got the honor to be a part of last year, and this year as well too.
So, which I think we're going to be talking about here. So, Room 13 was a short film that you played an alien as well as a man. Why don't you
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that?
So that was one of my friend's film we did for the company. I let him directed it. I had him direct that and another film he did under the MMH Productions. He did Room 13 and he did Overthinking. And I was the lead in both of those. It was a bad film. It was his first one, Room 13. So, I mean, the audio we had in the background was not good audio. It was very muffled, hard to hear. We threw it in part of tapes. Tales to the Bone Volume 2. We threw it in that mix as well for the fifth film. I mean, it was fun to do for his first film. I give him, it's hard to do your first film. He was more of an action style dude than horror at the time, but it got made. It's fun. It was fun to do it, and it's out there.
Okay. And Backyard Plague Nightmare was a short film that you were part of. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
That was when I played the dude in the tent, talking bad about the COVID-19, and then they hired someone to try to assassinate me in the tent. And of course, I played the dude, and I played the guy trying to kill me as well in that one.
Okay. And then I guess you were part of The Barn too, correct?
Yes. I'm dying to see this film when it comes out. I mean,
So am I.
The
I put
Barn
some
is
money into the getting at least a copy of the film.
The Barn is such a good film for the first one. Such a good movie. I saw it at Nightmares Film Festival. I got in touch with Justin Seaman, the director. The first shoot I did for The Barn 2 was at a drive-in for zombies. So I played a zombie. And when you watch the Barn 2 trailer, you actually see me twice in the trailer, which is really sweet. I played a zombie in the drive-in. And then they also asked me to do behind-the-scene footage for that project. So they gave me a camera and said, film whatever you want behind the scenes. So I was walking around with the fancy camera they had for that I don't have. And I was shooting some B-roll and BTS stuff for them. Then they called me on set to shoot behind-the-scene footage for another project that their company did called Cryptids. So I got to shoot. I shot a behind-the-scene clip from Cryptids as well for them. And then I came back on the Barn 2 set another time for a party scene, and they needed an extra actor, so I sent out a casting call in PA to try to get other people on board to come out. I played about 5 roles that night in different outfits, and then I came back the next night and I wanted to look different, so I shaved, I slicked my hair back so I looked like a different person, and I played more roles also, but mostly from the back. But I'm still going to be like, oh, I was in that outfit. But I mean, the set was so nice to be on a more higher budget, more professional set than what we have. Seeing it come together, how they do everything compared to what I do. I mean, they did one scene where it was the whole day. And then for me, I do whole films in one day shoots, a couple hours. Most of my films were shot in one day max. So I mean, most of the short films are one day max. But then they have one scene dedicated, and they're getting a bunch of different footage, which is what's going to inspire me and how I'm going to probably plan out Nightmares Unleashed and take my time on it and actually do real cameraing, have real set for it. I really want to go all out on it. So seeing the Barn 2 and how it worked was a good eye opener for me for indie, to try to get the indie I'm at, and then here's the indie they're at, and I'm trying to get to that level now.
So how can we get copies of your films? Do you actually have copies of your anthologies that you have put together for those of us folks who may want to see these anthologies of yours?
Yes. Before I had there was a page on my website that said shop, and I'm not going to pay for the full website price. So I had it where you can email me what film you want to buy, and then when we email, I'll send you my PayPal information. You send the PayPal and your address, and I'll ship the film out to you. I tried doing eBay before. I know a lot of people nowadays just reach out to me on Facebook. So we had some guy recently who said, I want to buy a copy of every one of your films on DVD on Facebook. So I got his information on Facebook, PayPal me, and I send the films out, which is the best way for me. I'm not dealing with paying a website. I'm not paying eBay. They're not taking any money away from my fund for the movies in general. And I'm a filmmaker where I want to make a little money, but mostly get my films out there. So every short film I make is 5 minutes long. The feature-length films are only 10 minutes by a DVD. There's 2 films of mine that are 15 minutes, but it's because they're here's an 8-pack of short films, or here's a 6-pack, and I'm doing a 10-pack of movies also, all Christmas films. Like how you see at the store, get this 8-pack of movies. That's what I'm doing now. But yeah, even the feature films, they're only $10 a copy. So MMH Productions on Facebook. Mathew Mark Hunter is my actual Facebook. You can just email me at hunter.matthew88@gmail.com. If you want, I have an Instagram, MMH Productions, you can reach out to me for. I have a TikTok, but I hate using it because they always ban my films. My videos are all horror shorts, and they're always blocking my footage, so I'm TikTok's boring. So yeah, Facebook's the main thing I use for all the films. Or if you just want to I know my email is on YouTube in the about section if you want to send me, if you don't know it that way. But we do have post stories on DVD. There's about 10 films on DVD we're selling. Mostly short films, and we have about 4 or 5 anthologies that are on DVD. But majority of the newer ones are also coming out on Troma now as well soon for their streaming service you can watch.
Very cool. So thank you for coming on. It was definitely a pleasure. And is there anything that you would say to other filmmakers to help them in any of their endeavors before we end the show here?
I can say for starting out, if you're a younger filmmaker like I was, you don't want to be cocky, because I was when I first started out, a young age at 17, 18. And when you meet people who are like, hey, I'm this age, I did this and that already, you don't want to be cocky. You want to, you got to make your way, because everyone starts somewhere as well. For filmmakers in general, you should just make a film, just do it. You don't need to have a production crew. You don't got to have all the fancy equipment. All you need is your phone. And half the time, people my age with phones are like these super duper like fancy phones with better camera quality than my real camera, or the same type of quality. So I mean, all you need is your phone to make a movie. You don't need anything else. You can grab those tripods for your phone. Even like cheap cameras aren't that much. So if you really want to make a movie, just do it. Just make a film by yourself. Get a friend to do it. Edit it. There's free programs to edit as well, and then you could just upload it and you made a film. I mean, I'm sure there's even programs on your phone now to edit the way they want. Because I use a track phone still, so I can't do none of that crazy stuff. But yeah, I mean, just make your films and just do it. I mean, and don't take bad critiques all the way to heart, because we had someone hating and really bashing on one of our films, like barely watched it, and they didn't critique anything. You know, like a reviewer's like, "Hey, I liked this part, but man, this part really should have been like built this way," and they were like, "You all suck as filmmakers. You guys shouldn't film anymore." We had a death threat once for us for the a group film, and then we also had people messing around with my IMDb pages and other films, and they personally wrote all the IMDb for me, and they were starting to mess around with stuff. And the only part about IMDb that sucks is anyone can do anything to IMDb. You can change anything for any film, which sucks. That's the only part that's bad about it. Yep. But don't let people who say stuff about and bad stuff hurt you too bad. Everyone's gonna get bad critiques, good critiques. Half the time when I get if someone writes like a bad quote about my film, like, "Oh, this film was so bad, it was this and that," I put it on the poster. I mean, I like that kind of stuff though, because it's like someone saw it. If someone says this film's so, like the one guy said, these types of films look like they'd be in the bargain bin at Walmart, and that's on the poster, because it's actually a compliment if you get your film in a bargain bin, because it's already good stuff. At least you got your film out there. So I mean, that was a compliment for me. But yeah, it's just like just make films and just have a good time when you're doing it. It's stressful, but it's fun.
Well, thank you for your time. I know this was a long time to be on, but I appreciate your candor and being able to talk to you about your way of filmmaking. So and a little bit into who you are as a person. And I know we did it shortly and briefly, like 3 or 4 years ago. But yeah, I think and hope that other people can go out and just watch your films. I mean, it's just a matter of giving it a shot and giving them a try, and supporting you in your endeavor. And
I mean, yeah, thank you for having me on. And I mean, even if you really want to help out too for other people, like if you go to Indiegogo and type in horror comedy shorts or just horror comedy, a lot of the stuff we keep relatively cheap. So like a thank you credit on all 3 of the films is $10. Executive producer credit on all 3 of the short films is $50, and it's IMDb credit. Or associate producer is $30 on all 3 of the movies and on IMDb for all 3. So I mean, we like keeping stuff like smaller scale pricing so more people help out and we can get more people out there as well. And then everyone who does donate to Kickstarter, they're going to be emailed about how they can send in a voice clip to get their voice in a movie, and we're just let it in the film for free. Hey, you helped us out, now you're going to be in the film, type of thing. So just help people out.
Very cool. Well, thank you for your time, and like, share, and subscribe, everyone, and just give this interview a watch. I mean, it's very cool to have you, and hopefully you'll be able to come back again, and we'll be able to have more to talk about. So,
Oh yeah.
you have a good evening, sir.
You too as well. Thank you.
And broadcast. And I was thinking, hold on. Making sure it. Come on.